"Madam Seniors, I'm truly sorry. The young one wasn't meant to offend." He hurriedly spoke to apologize to the two of them, his expression somewhat anxious. "It's all right. Please continue to lead the way." Li Tiancheng and Li Xuanling naturally wouldn't blame him. After indicating him to continue leading the way, they sighed slightly and followed him onward. Soon, Li Tiancheng was going to part ways with Li Xuanling, as his residence was on the southern side of the outer city, requiring him to turn right, while Li Xuanling had to keep going straight into the inner city. "Second uncle, take good care of yourself. I'll visit you in the outer city when I have time." Li Tiancheng nodded lightly, softly advised. "Leader Xia hasn't set the date for your marriage yet. I'll speak with him in a few days. You take care too." After speaking, Li Tiancheng left with Hong Yu. Li Xuanling continued onward with Han Yue and a group of maids towards the inner city. Seeing the checkpoint of the inner city from afar, a few hundred meters away, Li Xuanling slightly stirred and asked Han Yue next to him, "Do you always refer to him as Lord?" Han Yue shook her head and responded, "It was last month when Minister ordered us to change our dress for him. The Minister said, the Great Xia now has a population of 400,000, spanning territories of tens of thousands of miles, far surpassing the standards for a town-level camp. Thus we must address him as Lord. Having a population over 100,000 constitutes a town-level camp, and Great Xia's scale now indeed far exceeds such a standard. Calling him Lord is indeed correct. The star-picking hall you mentioned is the Lord's residence." "Correct. The star-picking hall is a residence uniquely crafted by Director Mu for the leader, astonishingly sophisticated in design, and truly the tallest building of Xia City. When it was completed 5 days ago, it was indeed breathtakingly marvelous. Madam, you will surely be very fond of it once you see it." "It's just a building. What's there to be so amazed by?" Despite being quite astonished by the outer city, Li Xuanling decided, for dignity's sake, regardless of how breathtaking the hall might be, to remain composed. They soon reached the checkpoint leading into the inner city. At the first sight upon entering the inner city, Li Xuanling's mind was struck hard. Standing before her were two women dressed in blue summer clothes. The two women's appearances were naturally outstanding, and their summer clothes were evidently of exceptional quality, perhaps not less costly than her gauze skirt. The array of adornments on them was, just by eye, considerably more advanced than those worn by the dozen or so maids like Han Yue. However, mere appearance wouldn't suffice to strike Li Xuanling's mind so harshly. Mainly it was their cultivation. She discovered the woman ahead of her surprisingly possessed cultivation at the cold resistance level. Though her strength wasn't greater than hers, the woman wasn't older either. Li Xuanling could roughly tell the woman wasn't more than 20, perhaps not even 20, at least 2 years younger than her. And she was heavily pregnant, seemingly on the verge of labor. Li Xuanling suddenly realized something. Her face turned pale in an instant. Han Yue greets the two ministers' wives. "Greet the ministers' wives." Upon hearing the maids like Han Yue bowing and greeting the two women with such titles, recognizing Xia Chuan was the great Xia minister, and these were naturally his wives, Li Xuanling's pale face quickly regained its composure. "I've long heard elder brother married a fairy-like wife, which we previously doubted, but upon witnessing, we now know it's true. Sister-in-law is indeed beautiful beyond compare. Xiao Yu has never seen anyone as stunning as sister-in-law." Xiao Ning greets sister-in-law. Compared to Xiao Ning, Xiao Yu was both eloquent and adept, immediately giving Li Xuanling a shower of compliments to close the gap, instantly taking Han Yue's place, holding Li Xuanling's hand, and laughingly guiding her deeper into the inner city. "Sister-in-law is new here. Should you feel bored in the inner city, feel free to come find us sisters for a chat, to relieve the monotony." With full of amiability, Xiao Ning quickly warmed Li Xuanling, making them feel an instant bond as they soon began chatting. However, in between their conversations, Li Xuanling didn't forget to observe the inner city surroundings. Streets, coal stoves, houses, the furnace lamps hanging on the mountain walls. The lavish arrangements and facilities outshining the outer city rendered her somewhat overwhelmed. Upon shifting her gaze from objects to people, her pupils kept dilating, her amazement hardly suppressed, nearly gasping aloud. "All earth-digging realm, such young children, all are earth-digging realm. That one must be at most 13, right? This one, not likely even 11. That one, is she 10 yet? How is this possible?" At that moment, Li Xuanling dearly wished to quickly pull over her second uncle, Li Tiancheng, to have him see the children on the inner city streets, just realizing the outer city's Li Yuanqing would likely be considered aged here. Where did so many geniuses in Great Xia come from? Sister-in-law, we've arrived. Arrived at the star-picking hall. Momentarily dazed, Li Xuanling was awakened by Xiao Ning, hurriedly raising her head, realizing unbeknownst to her, she had arrived at a huge 3-story wooden building, roughly 200 meters long and 15 meters tall. Judging by the size and location of the wooden building, including the meticulous layout from bottom to top on each level, it's evidently the main building of Great Xia. Li Xuanling admitted the dragon and phoenix carvings under the eaves, the artistically designed beast-shaped coal stoves, the flags atop the building, along with the overall appearance presented in alternating shades of light gold and black, indeed made the main building remarkable, but astonishingly sophisticated to the point that it was overly exaggerated. Breathtakingly marvelous was even more so. Madam, this is the main building. The star-picking hall is above. Please step back for a look. Not the star-picking hall. Upon hearing Han Yue's words, Li Xuanling paused slightly, then retreated a few steps, once more looking upwards towards the main building. At this sight, she was instantly dumbfounded. Behind and above the main building, surprisingly, was a floating palace. The palace was evidently forged of pure iron, aside from some decorative bone carvings, along with bonfires and coal stoves inside the palace. It presented an overall black color. It spanned only about 30 meters, merely 1/7 of the main building, with a height equal to the main building. But since it floated 30 meters above the main building, unless examined carefully, it would indeed be hard to see from the front of the main building. How could such a grand palace float? After this perplexing thought emerged in Li Xuanling's mind, she carefully scrutinized the palace, noticing an iron bridge connecting with the rooftop of the main building. Suddenly, upon spotting something, Li Xuanling turned her head to look towards the sides of the mountain wall, immediately revealing a look of realization. It's not floating. The star-picking hall below is linked with numerous iron materials connecting both sides of the valley walls, so that's it. Chapter 808, Chapter 318, The Changed Li Xuanling Reform and 9th Rank Viscount. Madam, to reach Star-Picking Hall, we need to cross that iron bridge. We can go directly from the political hall. Please follow me. Han Yue led Li Xuanling into the main building, up to the top floor, entering directly into the political hall. Having been stunned by Star-Picking Hall earlier, Li Xuanling felt little reaction upon seeing the political hall, quickly following Han Yue and others through the hall, across the iron bridge behind, heading towards Star-Picking Hall. Why didn't they follow us? Walking to the corridor of the hall, Li Xuanling realized that Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu were no longer behind her, and immediately asked curiously, Madam, apart from us 15 maids in the camp, only you and the minister have the privilege to enter Star-Picking Hall. Others cannot enter unless summoned by the Lord. Li Xuanling nodded, continuing to follow Han Yue along the corridor, walking into a room at the rear of Star-Picking Hall. Entering the room, Li Xuanling's face immediately showed a hint of complexity. It wasn't that the room was particularly luxurious. Of course, the dazzling accessories and summer clothes inside were indeed eye-opening, but it wasn't enough to elicit such a reaction from her. The crux was that the arrangement of this room was exactly the same as her boudoir in Long Mountain, and even the belongings brought along were placed in the exact same way. These were arranged by him. Han Yue first nodded, then covered her mouth and laughed. It was all personally ordered by the Lord. It's the first time I've seen the Lord being so attentive. Madam truly is blessed in the future. Hearing this, Li Xuanling remained silent for a moment, glancing around the room, her gaze eventually stopping at the weapons rack by the west window, becoming stunned once more. A silver sword was placed at the top of the rack, unmistakably her heavenly transformation sword. On the day she led an ambush against Xia Hong and failed, the weapon was naturally confiscated. During this period on Long Mountain, she had several times considered asking Xia Hong for it, but each time she couldn't bring herself to do it, not expecting Xia Hong would return it directly to her. Oh, madam, please take a look. The Lord specifically instructed me to give this to you. Han Yue suddenly remembered something, opened the wardrobe in the room, took out a white palace gown, and unfolded it, handing it to Li Xuanling. The gown felt weightless in her hand, and upon unfolding, The white fine gown appeared to glow as if illuminated, giving it an incredible texture. Even more magically, under the firelight in the room, the original white gradually transformed into a transparent blood jade color. Such a magical gown. This gown is so beautiful. This gown is too pretty. No wonder the Lord named it red silk reflecting snow, so this is why. It's stunning. This gown must be very precious. The maids, including Han Yue, evidently unaware of the gown's properties, immediately gasped in admiration upon seeing its transformation, eyes full of envy. Though Han Yue and the others were unsure, Li Xuanling recognized it at a glance. The material for the palace gown was the fur of a blood jade fox. Crucially, one blood jade fox could only yield over 20 centimeters of fur at most. It would take at least 10 blood jade foxes to make this palace gown. She looked down at the magnificent palace gown in her hand. A surge of unprecedented emotions rushed within her. The complexity deep in her eyes gradually evolved into an internal struggle. Red silk reflecting snow, a name he personally gave. Madam just came from Long Mountain, surely hasn't had a chance to eat yet. We've prepared everything, please have the evening meal. Standing behind Li Xuanling, Han Yue naturally couldn't see her expression. Remembering she hadn't eaten yet, hurried to instruct the other maids to arrange the evening meal. Li Xuanling gathered her thoughts, quickly restoring her expression, noting that Han Yue mentioned evening meal. Recalling upon entering the city seeing households along the streets also preparing food, she curiously asked, "What does evening meal mean?" Han Yue smiled and explained, "Evening meal is the last meal of the day. Great Xia now has 3 meals a day, morning meal, mid-meal, and evening meal." Li Xuanling turned to look at the moonlit night outside, roughly deducing it was about the 3rd hour past midnight, quickly figuring out the meal times. Is mid-meal in the 4th hour of the night? Han Yue nodded, just as the maids carried in trays. Before the trays were uncovered, a tantalizing aroma had already wafted out, prompting Li Xuanling to turn her head and look. She sat down at the table, watching as Han Yue opened the first tray. This dish is snow bamboo shoots with main meat. These snow bamboo shoots are the most prized young shoots of the snow bamboo from Arrow Bamboo Forest, and the main meat is the best cut from the neck of an intermediate snow mane. Madam, please try them and see if you like them. Li Xuanling had tasted good food before. She'd even eaten high-level beast meat, not to mention these before her. The 2 ingredients Han Yue mentioned were known and she had eaten them, but why hadn't she smelled such a rich aroma before? She picked up the iron chopsticks Han Yue handed over, grabbed a piece and put it in her mouth. Her expression instantly changed. How can this taste so good? Suddenly remembering something, she asked, "Is it salt?" "It's salt, right." Han Yue was first puzzled, then realizing Li Xuanling had just arrived at Great Xia, nodded promptly to explain. "Yes, madam, refined salt is added to the food you and the Lord eat." For the past 2 months on Long Mountain, she'd heard rumors of salt, but having neither seen it nor tasted it, she hadn't taken it seriously. Chapter 809, Chapter 318, Transformed Li Xuanling Reform 9th Class Viscount Part 2. At this moment, tasting it herself, she finally realized just how miraculous this thing was. It wasn't just about the taste. After eating, her body felt very comfortable, and it had a very noticeable effect on clearing the blood and qi pathways in her body. This meant that eating it could enhance cultivation speed. Green saliva braised white bear paw, Chenggu's roasted lamb ribs, crystal branch stewed kiwi ribs, fragrant cold fruit tiger soup. After trying these 4 dishes, Li Xuanling didn't have a moment's rest for her mouth. In the end, it was Han Yue who actively poured a glass of blood-cold wine that finally pulled her attention away from the food. Li Xuanling picked up the glass and drank it all in one go. Her face instantly turned red, and a dizzying sensation surged into her mind. She closed her eyes, savoring it for more than 10 breaths before slowly opening them, her face full of excitement and exhilaration. This wine, it's not only delicious, but also able to enhance cultivation. This is blood-cold wine. The Lord specifically asked me to prepare 5 pounds for the madam. In the future, if the madam wants to drink, I can fetch it any time. The psychological impact Li Xuanling received from this evening meal was not in the least inferior to when she first saw the sights of Xia City. Until Han Yue and others cleared everything up and prepared to leave, she still hadn't come back to her senses. Madam, Han Yue still has to serve by the leader's side. Han Shuang, Nong Ying, Qiu Ru, Ming Yue, and Hua Ling, These 5 will be dedicated to serving you. Han Shuang is the maid deputy. If the madam has anything, you can ask her to find me. Han Yue left 5 maids behind. Among them, the maid deputy called Han Shuang, who resembled her by 7 points, should be her sister. Li Chuanling nodded, sent Han Yue off, and then lay down on the bed with the help of the 5 maids, preparing to rest. It was actually soon to be dawn. Technically, cold resistance level individuals should sleep at night, but if not going out for hunting, sleeping during the day wasn't a problem. She had already eaten a lot and drank a pound of blood-cold wine, so she was naturally dazed and fell asleep as soon as she hit the bed. But soon, she was startled awake by a large hand reaching under the covers. "Who dares?" Li Xuanling, awakened, instinctively lashed out, but before she finished speaking, she realized who it was and immediately shut her mouth. Then came a flurry of rustling sounds from inside the room. After a long while, the movements inside the room gradually subsided. "Weren't you unwilling before, changed your mind? Get out." The 2 maids on duty outside the door were already blushing with embarrassment. Second year of Great Xia, the first day of October. As soon as night fell, the inner city became exceptionally lively. Normally, the nighttime was when the camp was engaged in hunting and production, so liveliness was normal, but tonight's situation was obviously unusual. Many cold resistance levels were heading toward the main building, and a large number of earth-digging realms seemed to have received some news in advance, gathering beneath the main building in lively groups, chatting animatedly. In the Hive Guard battle, I killed an enemy, which counts as a small merit. Killing an enemy is not a small merit. I've found out, the ones attacking the Hive were the Long Yu army, all with cultivation above the earth-digging realm limit, so being able to kill one is definitely a significant merit. Indeed, most of those able to kill enemies at that time were at the cold resistance level. Among us, not many could achieve a kill. I injured 2 with arrows, and the camp supply department has already confirmed with me. Same here, injured 1 person. Tonight's highlight should be those cold resistance level leaders. Their enemy kill counts are high, and the Lord will definitely reward a lot of contribution value. Contribution value is nothing. It's the ennoblement that's the real highlight. Ennoblement, what's that? I heard from the camp supply department that the Lord has established a 9th rank title system, specifically to reward those outstanding in military achievements. I heard that those with the title in the future will have a different status and special treatment, though it's unclear what exactly that entails. A different status, how different can it be? I say extra contribution value would be more practical. With so many people in the camp now, contribution value is increasingly hard to earn. Every night, hundreds of hunting teams go to Redwood Ridge. Hell, if you go late, there aren't even trees to cut, let alone low-level cold beasts which are fought over fiercely. I know last month some teams got into fights over prey, almost to the death, and Yuan Sijing personally had to step in. Indeed, contribution value is hard to earn now, and if the title isn't useful, more contribution value would be better. Let's wait and see what's going on, maybe it will be useful. Tab tab tab. The chatter underneath, the main building was interrupted by the sound of a marching army. Everyone turned their heads toward the outer city to see a large number of soldiers clad in light gold battle armor slowly walking this way. It's the Cloud Dragon Army. The Cloud Dragon Army is here too. No kidding, capturing Longyu was mainly due to the Cloud Dragon Army. They're bound to receive rewards as deserved. Looks like there's over 1,000. Wasn't it said that over 300 Cloud Dragon Army soldiers died in Longyu? With so many new arrivals to the camp lately, they've already been replenished. Leading them is Captain Liu Yuan. The minister isn't here. The minister is definitely already at the political hall. When they attacked Long Mountain, Captain Liu was there too. His contributions are probably significant. Not just Long Mountain. I heard he was at Changbai Gully, Ning Yuan Hill, and when we defended the Hive. He was there when the leader led the army to take White Abyss and Xiling. Few could compare to his achievements in capturing Longyu. Chapter 810, Chapter 318, Transformed Li Xuanling Reform 9th Class Viscount Part 3. That would be remarkable. Scout Colonel Liu Yuan of the Cloud Dragon Army Reconnaissance Camp greets the Lord. No need for formalities, stand up. In the political hall, with the arrival of the last person, Liu Yuan, along with Li Tiancheng and Li Xuanling, All of Great Xia's 89 cold resistance level members were finally gathered together. At the beginning of July, Xia Hong had conducted an inventory at Long Mountain, identifying 75 members at that time, not including Li Tiancheng and Li Chuanling. Currently, the 12 additional individuals in the hall are Hu Ming, Hu Ying, Hu Bing, Hu Tong, Hu Quan, Hu Ming, Lin Yi, Zhou Yuan, Cheng He, Wang Lai, Zhang Qingyuan, and Lu Yin. The surrender of these 12 individuals was anticipated by Xia Hong, as Jiayang and Long Mountain had already fallen, and Hu had fled. With Li Tiancheng and Hu Jing providing the way out, these 12 individuals were bound to choose surrender as long as they were sensible. I won't beat around the bush with you. Straightforwardly, there are two main issues for gathering you all tonight. One is the Reformation, and the other is rewarding contributions. Let's discuss the Reformation first. Xia Hong paused slightly in his speech, seeing that everyone's attention focused. He continued, I won't elaborate on the new policies at Long Mountain. You all have a general understanding of the 6 ministries as local institutions. What I intend to reform is the current rank system of positions in Great Xia. Saying this, Xia Hong gestured to Xia Chuan with his eyes. Xia Chuan nodded and immediately stepped forward, facing everyone and speaking loudly. In Great Xia, apart from myself, existing positions can largely be divided into 4 ranks. First rank consists of the 6 departments chief, which presently corresponds to the 6 directors. Second rank supports the directors as deputy directors of the 6 departments. Third rank comprises newly established positions within the 6 departments. Fourth rank includes deputy roles in the 6 departments and defense envoys across various locations. Under the Lord's decree, all positions in Great Xia from now on will fall into ranked categories, currently divided from 1st to 5th rank. Every rank will have a corresponding monthly salary comprising contribution value, Yangyuan pill, and silk. 4th rank monthly salary, 3,000 contribution points, 6 Yangyuan pills, 20 meters of silk. 3rd rank monthly salary, 4,000 contribution points, 9 Yangyuan pills, 25 meters of silk. 2nd rank monthly salary, 5,000 contribution points, 12 Yangyuan pills, 30 meters of silk. 1st rank monthly salary, 6,000 contribution points, 15 Yangyuan pills, 40 meters of silk. Everyone present who held a position instantly felt their breathing intensify. Xia Chuan's implications were unmistakably clear. This was the monthly remuneration. In other words, as long as they held these positions, even if they sat idle, they would receive these benefits monthly. Contribution points and silk weren't considered significant. The main focus was the Yangyuan pills, with each pill valued at 3,000 points, and they were indispensable spirit pills for their cultivation. Currently, few individuals in Great Xia hold positions, with less than half of the 89 cold resistance levels in the hall having positions. Thus, most were gazing at Yuan Dao and a few others with envy, subsequently surging a strong desire for positions. Of course, this is just the initial draft. The population has surged at the camp, demanding substantial staff for both 6 ministries and 6 departments. An increase in rank positions may be necessary, relying on individual capability to select and appoint. After speaking, Xia Chuan paused slightly and continued. Additionally, the Lord has ordered the establishment of the penal and military departments. The former will oversee all punishments and prison facilities within the Great Xia territory, while the latter will control all military affairs of Great Xia. The directors for these 2 departments will be selected from among you, dependent on your performance. The military department was mentioned by Xia Hong back in early July at Long Mountain, so it didn't surprise them, yet the penal department piqued their interest. With 2 new departments introduced, numerous positions would be available. Everyone's mind began to indulge in active contemplation. In addition, about future travail. Previously, the camp required everyone to contribute a fixed quota of coal and iron daily based on cultivation. Starting today, those with positions need not partake in forced labor, they only need to focus on their affairs. However, once they step down, they must continue to contribute. Xia Chuan concluded his addition, and Xia Hong promptly picked up. Certainly, not only those with positions are exempt from forced labor, those with titles are too. Upon Xia Hong's statement, everyone below instantly came to life. Comparing themselves to outsiders in the earth-digging realm, the cold resistance levels had far superior channels for information, having a greater understanding of the 9th rank title system. Observing Xia Hong, They expressed curiosity and anticipation on their faces. The ninth-rank viscounts from low to high are respectively Xuanling, Chixiao, Kingaming, Zidian, Jink, Yuheng, Tianquan, Teiwei, Zhenbo. Once Xia Hong recited the 9 viscount levels, everyone's expression became solemn. Chapter 811, Chapter 319, Military Merit and Bestowal of Titles, Hearts Stirred. Bestowing a title is a reward for those with outstanding merit. What is outstanding merit? Charging into battle and defeating enemies, expanding territories, punishing the wicked and eliminating evil, protecting the land and ensuring the safety of the people, managing a region. Anyone who achieves great feats for the camp has the opportunity to be granted a title. And as one's personal achievements continue to grow, the title can climb from the lowest Xuanling to the highest Zhenbo. Whether one can be granted a title depends on their personal merits. Because many merits are difficult to quantify, in most cases, whether an individual qualifies for a title will be discussed and deliberated by Minister Xia Chuan in conjunction with the directors of the 6 departments, with the final decision made by me. However, there are also straightforward and easily quantifiable standards, such as military merit. Next, let me focus on discussing the standards for granting titles based on military merit. Upon hearing this, everyone became spirited, raising their ears and listening attentively. To be granted the lowest Xuanling title, one's personal destruction of enemies on the battlefield must reach 500. Of course, it's not just any random 500 people. They must be real enemy troops like the Longyu Army or the Blood Guard Army. Considering different battlefield situations, 10 ordinary earth-digging realm can count as 1 real enemy troop, and cold resistance level enemy generals can count as 100 enemy troops. Whoosh! Xia Hong's words immediately stirred a massive uproar in the Grand Hall. Killing 500 enemies, and they all have to be soldiers like those in the Longyu Army or Blood Guard Army. How is that possible? The entire Longyu has only about 5,000 enemy troops. If we strictly calculate, wouldn't at most 10 people be eligible for the 9th-rank Xuanling viscount? Isn't there still cold resistance level? Wouldn't 5 cold resistance levels do? Sounds easy when you say it. Think carefully during the Longyu battle from April to July. How many cold resistance level enemies did our great Xia kill? Well, it seems only the minister and the director, along with a few others. The military title granting condition is indeed a bit too harsh. It has to be harsh. Otherwise, if just anyone can be granted a title, what's the point of having this 9th-rank title system? Xia Hong interrupted everyone's discussions and continued. Starting from the 9th-rank Xuanling viscount, for each rank higher, the enemy destruction number requirement doubles. In other words, Chixiao requires destroying 1,000 enemies, Kingaming requires destroying 2,000, and to reach the highest Zhenbo, destroying 128,000 enemies is necessary. What an unfamiliar number, 128,000 enemies. Can you find a camp in Ice Abyss that has such a large army? Xia Hong did not look at the faces filled with incredulity, but continued to speak. This is purely military merit granting titles. As I said earlier, not only going into battle to kill enemies, expanding territories, punishing the wicked and eliminating evil, protecting the land and ensuring the safety of the people, managing a region. As long as there are enough contributions to the camp, one has the qualification for a title, but I want to preset a premise. Any title grantee must have military merit. If the title is granted due to other merits, the military merit must reach at least 1/3 of the war merit required for the corresponding title. This is perfectly understandable. For instance, if your merit in managing a region is great, merely gaining the recognition of Xia Chuan and the directors of the 6 departments is not enough. The military merit of enemy destruction must be at least 166 for you to truly qualify for the 9th-rank Xuanling viscount. Obviously, Xia Hong deliberately amplifies the importance of military merit. After thinking for a moment, everyone immediately understood. Next, let's talk about what benefits you care about most from being granted a title. Upon hearing this, everyone was truly attentive with all ears. Since it's so difficult to be granted a title, the corresponding treatment surely will not be poor. Just not knowing the specifics, they all listened intently. 9th-rank Xuanling viscount, granted a complete set of 9th-rank Great Xia Xuanling robe, a full set of Imperial-made cross-saber armor with an annual stipend of 10,000 contribution points, 3 Yangyuan pills, 10 blood essence pills, 10 pounds of high-level beast blood, 100 meters of silk, 1 pound of blood cold wine, 10 pounds of aged wine, 20 pounds of refined salt. In addition, he can be exempted from corvée for life, and his wife will be granted the title of 9th rank Viscount Lady, also exempt from corvée for life. His descendants can be called Prince, and he can build a 200 square meter mansion in Xia City, with 2 maids and 5 attendants at home. After Xia Hong finished speaking, the whole room fell into a deathly silence. Everyone's breathing involuntarily became heavier, especially when Mu Dong, right in front of them, ordered the great Xia Chuanling robe, imperial-made cross-saber, and imperial-made armor to be brought out. Their eyes were fixed and unmoving. This red Chuanling robe is dyed with vermilion powder bamboo silk and hand-woven. The snow mane design on it is intricately embroidered with golden powder-dyed snow bamboo silk, taking half a month just for dyeing. The entire manufacturing process involved over 100 clothing makers and took a total of 1 month. Everyone, how do you find it? Mu Dong displayed the Chuanling robe like a treasure, afraid that people couldn't see clearly, almost unfolding every detail. Then there is this horizontal blade and this armor set. The blade is of 1000 forged level and carries beast-suppressing attribute. This armor set is significantly different from the Lei Kui golden armor worn by the Cloud Dragon army soldiers. You should be able to see that. It was immediately noticeable that the current 100 forged level Lei Kui golden armor in the camp had a light golden appearance, while the armor set Mu Dong presented appeared with a noticeably brighter gold color, almost true gold. This is armor made with more Thunder Kui skull powder, not only looking better, but also offering 30% more defense than the ordinary 100 forged Thunder Kui armor. Unfortunately, its forging cycle is too long, and materials used are too much, making large-scale application impractical as soldiers' equipment. Therefore, it is used as the Imperial-made Viscount armor. Chapter 812, Chapter 319, Military Merit and Bestowal of Titles. Hearts stirred. After Mu Dong finished explaining, he seemed to remember something and continued. The meaning of Imperial-made might not be clear to everyone. It signifies the Lord's personal commission for these creations. So once the ownership of this horizontal blade war armor is confirmed, the craftsman department will engrave the owner's name on it, signifying that these are exclusive weapons and armor. If noble titles bestow tangible benefits, then the robes, weapons, and war armors before everyone now represent status and reputation. As long as one wears these robes, pairs them with this imperial-made horizontal blade, and dons this imperial-made war armor, who in Xia City would not recognize them? The pursuit of fame and profit is human nature. Even the nearly 90 people standing in the Grand Hall, all with cold resistance level cultivation, cannot escape this principle. Moreover, what Xia Hong discussed now was only the treatment of the lowest dark feather marquis. Going up to Red Cloud, Kingaming, Zidian, the benefits surely get better and better. What kind of luxurious treatment would the highest rank of Zhenbo receive then? Thinking of this question, everyone's breathing became heavier, and the desire in their eyes gradually reached its peak. In their minds, there was only one phrase. Secure a noble title, definitely secure a noble title. Xia Hong did not disturb everyone. The matter of securing noble titles held great significance behind it, and expecting to fully explain it in such a short time wasn't realistic. They had to slowly contemplate and understand it themselves over time. For now, the considerable benefits of a noble title were enough to drive these people mad. That's enough about securing noble titles for now. Next, we'll proceed with discussing rewards and merits from the Longyu campaign between April and July. As Xia Hong spoke to this point, he paused and gestured to the servant beside him to hand the stack of documents on the table to Xia Chuan. Xia Chuan took the documents, his expression brightened, and he turned to face everyone, picking up the first volume of the documents. The main event today had finally arrived. Everyone raised their heads, looking towards Xia Chuan and the others at the front with eyes full of envy and curiosity. Xia Hong had spent so much time discussing the matter of securing noble titles earlier, evidently as a preparation for bestowing rewards and merits at this moment. Of course, everyone understood. In this Longyu campaign, besides the Cloud Dragon army, it was Xia Chuan, Yuan Dao, Liu Yuan, and a few others at the cold resistance level who truly shone. Now they were all curious. How much military merit did these people accumulate? What titles would they be granted, the lowest dark feather, or perhaps Zhu Ling, Huang Yang, Ying Xuan for defending the beehive, fought valiantly and never retreated, though ultimately fell in battle. They upheld the prestige of great Xia and did not lose the spirit of the Xia people. The Lord decrees to posthumously honor them as ninth-rank dark feather marquises, and when their offspring reach adulthood and meet the requisite military merits, they may inherit the titles. Upon hearing the first document, everyone was momentarily stunned, showing a bit of sentiment. But soon they suddenly realized something, and their gaze became incredibly fervent. This title can be passed on to offspring. This meant that even if they died for Great Xia, the title wouldn't be lost. As long as their descendants weren't too useless, they could essentially inherit it. Understanding this, the allure of noble titles instantly soared tremendously in everyone's hearts. And Xia Chuan continued to read the documents for conferring titles. In total, 24 were granted the title of ninth-rank Dark Feather Marquis, namely Yuan Cheng Qiu Peng Yue Feng, Lin Kai Lu Yang Suning Liu Yuan Zhu Yuan Zhao Long Zhao, Zhao Bao Chen Ying Yuan Peng Bo Li Long, Ying Yisu Yuan Kai Zhu Shun Lu Sheng Tong Xinglong Li Yuan Kun Zio Ken Cheng Hong Guang, Hong Tian Hong Gang Mu Dong Ming. These 24 participated in the Longyu campaign since April, including the Lower Beehive, attacking Wushuang, capturing Hankyang and later defending the Beehive and attacking Long Mountain. They were involved in all. The more they participated, the more military merits they naturally accrued. As Xia Chuan read each name, he laid out all their military achievements and merits, clearly having done adequate homework over the past 2 months to investigate their military accomplishments. All 24 people received their enfeoffment documents from Xia Chuan, and then obtained the 100 forged Xuanling iron order symbolizing their Viscount identity, respectfully bowing to Xia Hong above. Subordinate thanks the Lord for the rewards. Long live great Xia, long live the Lord. No need for formalities, rise. After everyone rose and returned to their previous positions, they then turned their heads in unison to look towards Mu Dong at the front. Mu Dong saw the look in everyone's eyes and immediately understood, gave a pat on his head and laughed. The robes, weapons, and war armors are still being hastily produced as we speak. What you see today are merely samples. There's no need for impatience. They will all be completed within 3 months at the latest. By then, I will personally deliver them to your homes. Haha, no rush at all. After all, they won't run away. Good work takes time, nothing to worry about. Haha, no need to worry. Who doesn't trust the craftsmanship of Director Mu? Mu Dong pointed out everyone's anxiousness over the robe, weapon, and armor set, causing the hall to burst into laughter, easing the atmosphere significantly. Of course, after the laughter subsided, their eyes turned universally towards Yu Wendao in the front row, and Xia Chuan, who held the last 2 enfeoffment documents. Only these 2 had yet to be rewarded. Xia Chuan was already proceeding. Hunting Department Director Yu Wendao, for the April attack on the Beehive, exploring Yang Lu, campaigning against Wushuang, the July battles at Changbai Gully and Ning Yuan Hill, advancing north with the Lord against White Abyss, combating at Xiling, and the final assault on Long Mountain, all with outstanding military achievements, unparalleled in the camp. Hence the Lord decrees Yu Wendao be granted the title of 8th rank Red Cloud Marquis. Xia Chuan paused slightly here, then continued. The 8th rank Red Cloud Marquis has a stipend double that of the 9th rank Dark Feather Marquis, with an Imperial-made horizontal blade at the 10,000 forged level, war armor at the 1,000 forged level. They may exempt one descendant from labor for life. The lady is decreed the title of 8th rank Viscountess, also exempt from labor for life. Descendants may be titled as heirs, and may build a 400 square meter estate in Xia City, equipped with 5 maids and 10 attendants. The double stipend aside, the Imperial-made weapon is at the 10,000 forged level. The war armor is 1,000 forged level, which Great Xia hasn't even developed yet, not to mention those other benefits. The gaze of the entire audience at Yu Wendao instantly filled with envy. And clearly Yu Wendao himself was not calm either. He stepped forward, received his enfeoffment document, then bowed deeply to Xia Hong on the platform, saying solemnly, "Subordinate thanks the Lord for the rewards. Long live great Xia, long live the Lord." No need for formalities, rise. Finally came Xia Chuan's own enfeoffment document. For convenience, he did not recite all the terms but simply read out the title he was conferred. Minister Xia Chuan conferred the title of 8th rank Red Cloud Marquis. Honestly, when everyone heard that Xia Chuan's title matched that of Yu Wendao, there was more or less some surprise on their faces, especially those cold resistance levels newly joined to Longyu. From April, leading troops to seize the beehive, advancing into Wushuang, capturing Hankyang, to later stubbornly defending the beehive. One could say Great Xia's successful capture of Longyu couldn't have happened without Xia Chuan's ministerial role, which, to some extent, was on par with Xia Hong the Lord. Plus, considering his relationship with Xia Hong, people felt in their hearts that even if he was directly made a Zhenbo, it wouldn't be unacceptable. But in the end, he was only granted a title identical to Yuan Dao, S as an 8th rank marquis. The value of this noble title is astonishingly high. The numerous cold resistance levels who weren't conferred a title ended up having this idea flash in their minds, making their expressions involuntarily hot. Anyone conferred a noble title shares a common fate with Great Xia. As Great Xia grows stronger, your conditions will rise accordingly. Conversely, if Great Xia declines, your benefits and status will also diminish. Therefore, conferment is just the start. Don't think that obtaining a title means success and resting on your laurels. Additionally, I must emphasize one point. Having a title doesn't mean you're in a privileged class. On the contrary, you must uphold the camp regulations more zealously than those ordinary people. Otherwise, I will severely penalize or even revoke your titles. That's definitely possible. Do you understand? On hearing Xia Hong's warning, the newly conferred over 20 people immediately became solemn and nodded, responding in unison. Understood, Lord. Good to hear. Recently, the population of Xia City has been growing, and the establishment of the prison department is imminent. For maintenance of city order and normal civilian life, legal codifications will soon be introduced. When ordinary people break these laws, there will be corresponding punitive measures. But if those of you with titles violate these laws, the punitive measures will be doubled. Don't say I didn't warn you in advance. Realizing Xia Hong wasn't joking, their previously solemn expressions gained a few more shades of seriousness. Chapter 813, Chapter 320, Prototype of the Political System State, Intensive Follow-up Arrangements. Alright, the ennoblement this time includes a total of 26 people. Let's put the matter of titles to rest. Now, let's discuss the Cloud Dragon Army. As soon as Xia Hong mentioned the Cloud Dragon Army, Xia Chuan and Liu Yuan's expressions immediately perked up. Knowing that the soldiers of the Cloud Dragon Army were just in front of the main building, Xia Hong raised his voice when he spoke. The annihilation of the Longyu New Army in Changbai Gully, the defeat of the Zhejiang Blood Guards at Ningyuan Hill, our northern campaign capturing Xiling and White Abyss, finally breaking Long Mountain. This unification of Longyu owes its greatest success to the Cloud Dragon Army. I won't reiterate the contribution values earned by each person's enemy kills here. Those will be verified and issued by the camp's supply department. What I want to emphasize is that every soldier's military merit will not only be rewarded with contribution value, but also recorded by the soon-to-be-established military department. As long as military merit accumulates to the ennoblement standard, I will personally issue an edict for ennoblement. Moreover, in the next half-year, the Cloud Dragon Army's monthly blood essence pill quota will increase from 3 to 5 pieces, the contribution value from 1,000 to 1,500, and the beast blood from 50 to 70 pounds. This is an additional reward for the recent Longyu Great War. The individual military merits not only convert into contribution value, but are also specifically recorded by the military department. Once accumulated standards are met, the Lord personally issues an edict for ennoblement. In the coming half-year or the next 6 months, the monthly military rewards will substantially increase. Xia Hong even directly announced the exact increase in contribution value, blood essence pill, and beast blood. Xia Chuan thanks the Lord, may great Xia endure forever, may the Lord endure forever. Xia Chuan, the commander of the Cloud Dragon Army, couldn't resist bowing to Xia Hong. Following him was Liu Yuan, who bowed to Xia Hong and excited said, Liu Yuan, colonel of the scout camp of the Cloud Dragon Army, thanks the Lord. May great Xia endure forever, may the Lord endure forever. At this moment, the 1,000 soldiers of the Cloud Dragon Army gathered in front of the main building were also extremely excited, all bowing in unison towards the political hall. Thank the Lord for your grace, may great Xia endure forever, may the Lord endure forever. In fact, only over 600 soldiers of the Cloud Dragon Army survived and returned from Longyu, and this time, 300 new recruits were added to make up the full number. Xia Hong just mentioned the military stipend increase for the next half year without excluding the 300 new soldiers. So these individuals felt like they had gained a huge advantage compared to the 600 soldiers, and they were even more excited, shouting louder. No need for formalities, rise all of you. In the political hall, Xia Hong gently raised his hand, signaling Xia Chuan and Liu Yuan to stand, then turned to Qiu Peng and continued. Of the more than 9,000 who participated in the Hive Guard battle, let Xia Chuan lead and work with the camp supply department to reward based on merit. I won't interfere much. Understood. The two immediately bowed and nodded. All right, what I have to say today about reforms, ennoblement, and merit-based rewards has been covered. Now it's your turn. Having finished speaking, Xia Hong's gaze directly turned to Xia Chuan and the 6 department directors behind him. Xia Chuan, understanding his cue, stepped forward with clasped hands and spoke. Reporting to the leader in early May, when the populations of Wushuang, Hanqiang, and Beehive migrated in, the camp population exceeded 110,000. At that time, the 6 departments were already overwhelmed. Fortunately, a large number of people were added to barely maintain operations. After this migration round ended, the camp population surged to 412,352, with Xia City having more than 120,000 registered households. The total in the earth-digging realm exceeds 40,000, and the total in the logging realm exceeds 130,000. Continuing with the previous governance method with the current numbers of the 6 departments is clearly insufficient. Therefore, my proposal is also reform, and it needs to be expedited. Upon hearing this, everyone in the hall was taken aback, clearly not expecting Xia Chuan to propose reforms and for them to be immediate. Surprisingly, Xia Hong showed no hint of surprise on his face. He had indeed anticipated Xia Chuan bringing this up today. The influx of 260,000 people into Xia City primarily impacted not Xia City itself, but rather Minister Xia City and the directors of the 6 departments, or more accurately, the current administrative system of Great Xia. Since early May, when the population surged to 110,000, Xia Hong had already noticed that the existing 6 departments were struggling to manage so many people. The previous rule of Great Xia was, as long as someone broke through to the logging realm, they would have a personal contribution value record in the camp supply department, and the next step would be entering one of the 6 departments based on personal talent and aptitude. In theory, this was the case, but in reality, just by looking at the names of the 6 departments, it was clear that most people had little choice and could only enter the harvesting department. A few with talents in medicine identification, forging, clothing making, and woodworking could enter the craftsman department. Camp supply and civil affairs departments would recruit as needed. Garrison department, on the other hand, was highly competitive, with people of cold resistance level vying for positions. The rest in the hunting department required earth-digging realm cultivation and were automatically sorted in, with no choice needed. Therefore, almost 99% of those in the logging realm were squeezed into the harvesting department. Over 90% of those in the earth-digging realm were crowded into the hunting department, and if not for the Cloud Dragon Army separately enlisting 1,000 at the earth-digging realm limit, it would likely also be 99%. Among the remaining 4 departments, other than the craftsman department, which had a decent number of over 2,500, the remaining 3 departments' numbers were pitifully small, with only 400 plus in the camp supply department, 200 plus in the civil affairs department, and even fewer in the garrison department, with 12 guards, 1 defender, and including Yuan Cheng as director, totaling just 14 people. Thus, nominally there are 6 ministries of Great Xia, but in reality, over 90% of the people are crowded into the hunting and harvesting departments, with the remaining 4 departments serving more as functional roles, without actually accommodating personnel. Moreover, it's not just a matter of personnel allocation. After the population surge, the management costs of the 6 departments have risen sharply. Chapter 814. Chapter 320. Prototype of the Political System State, Intensive Follow-up Arrangements /2. Here's the simplest example. Previously, the camp supply department only needed to record the contribution value for a few thousand or at most tens of thousands of people, but now it's different. It has suddenly increased to 170,000, and as more people make breakthroughs, the number to be recorded keeps increasing. The Civil Affairs Department previously managed only tens of thousands of household registrations, but after this population migration, it suddenly increased to 120,000 households, and it will only grow more in the future. Hunting department is the same. When there were only about 100 hunting teams, there was no need to allocate hunting areas every night. Everyone tacitly followed the rules without crossing boundaries, and tallying prey was not troublesome. Departure and return times were also coordinated to avoid conflicts, but now it has suddenly increased to over 1,000 teams, possibly even thousands in the future. The situation is completely different now. The conflict that happened with the hunting team last month is a stark example. If these issues are not resolved in advance, they will inevitably develop into internal conflicts, which will become a big problem once they escalate. Not only these three departments, but the remaining two departments, the craftsman and harvesting departments, are the same. Currently, it's probably only the garrison department, with the fewest personnel, that can be a bit more comfortable. Xia Hong looked up at Yuan Cheng, who stood behind Xia Chuan with a drowsy, unconcerned demeanor, and shook his head. Tell us your thoughts on the restructuring. Hearing this, Xia Chuan nodded and continued. Reform needs to start from the 6 ministries. The 6 ministries are the core management that keeps the camp running. They can no longer be the departments accommodating all personnel. Now that the camp has more surplus manpower than before, I propose that only those in the earth-digging realm can become official members of the 6 ministries in the future. This plan is going to be strict, allowing only those from the earth-digging realm to enter the 6 ministries, which means that regardless of a logging realm individual's talent in woodworking, alchemy, or clothing making, they cannot join the craftsman department early. Although somewhat harsh, considering the number of earth-digging realm individuals and their resource acquisition capability, it is not too excessive. In the current Great Xia, breaking through to the earth-digging realm is surely not difficult, and we won't bury talent just for breaking through to the earth-digging realm. However, Xia Hong had already guessed that Xia Chuan had more to say. But it was Qiu Peng, the camp supply department director, who first inquired, Minister, if we streamline the 6 ministries like this, how will fewer people manage the more than 400,000 people in Xia City? As expected, Xia Chuan smiled and nodded. Correct, I am indeed streamlining the personnel of the 6 ministries. To handle the growing population, I propose dividing Xia City into different districts, each with 100,000 people. Each district will establish the 6 departments to manage, similar to the new system of Long Mountain. Upon hearing this proposal, everyone in the hall, including Xia Hong above, suddenly brightened their eyes. Yes, dividing into different districts, simplifying the large into the smaller, maintaining the same structure of the 6 departments, not only having the same management model, but also using many existing talents from the 6 ministries to serve in each district's department. By this point, Xia Hong could largely guess what Xia Chuan would say next. Well, the duties of the 6 ministries change as well in the future. This effectively means taking the tasks originally belonging to the 6 ministries, dividing them by population into different areas, and handing them over to the 6 departments established in each area. In this way, the responsibilities of the 6 ministries will naturally need to change. Upon this question, Xia Chuan immediately realized that Xia Hong understood his intention and nodded, continuing, Of course, they need to change. My idea is to focus on the big and let go of the small, avoiding the light and choosing the heavy. Xia Chuan's restructuring philosophy can be summarized in the phrase, focus on the big and let go of the small. From now on, the hunting department will only oversee all advanced hunting teams within the camp, as well as the formation and promotion of all hunting teams. Intermediate and low-level hunting teams will all be managed by the hunting bureau of each respective district. The craftsman department will henceforth retain only the most outstanding craftsmen at headquarters. The remaining tools and equipment made from wood and iron, including basic clothing and healing pills, will be independently handled by the artisan department. The harvesting department will follow suit, with only the most elite members staying at headquarters. The other logging realm and some earth-digging realm individuals will remain under the logging department. The civil affairs department will not change much, with the aggregated household registrations and unregistered population in the civil affairs department still reporting back to headquarters. However, the task of drawing district boundaries this time, along with future adjustments as the camp's population increases, will also be handled by the Civil Affairs Department, as they hold the household registrations. The Garrison Department will also change. In addition to being responsible for the safety of the stations, It will also monitor the operation and development of each large district and station below, adjusting the defensive personnel accordingly based on the situation. Finally, for the camp supply department in each district, except for some basic supplies that can be operated independently by the camp supply department, resources such as beast meat, beast blood, beast bone, spiritual medicine, and other cultivation resources, as well as some important materials, will still be aggregated to the camp supply department. Then, the camp supply department will allocate these to the districts. If a district is experiencing a shortfall, the camp supply department must allocate resources to maintain supply operations. As Xia Chuan methodically presented his ideas for restructuring, everyone in the hall nodded repeatedly, their eyes becoming increasingly bright. This kid has really made huge progress. Even Xia Hong couldn't help but sigh inwardly as he looked at Xia Chuan. Overall, the approach is to focus on the big while letting go of the small. The 6 ministries will only secure the most important cultivation resources and some crucial materials like salt, iron, coal, and snow silk, controlling the most elite personnel. The rest of the basic lifestyle operations will be left to the District's 6 departments to manage themselves. Chapter 815. Chapter 320. Prototype of the Governmental State, Intensive Follow-up Arrangements Part 3. In this way, the entire camp is still largely controlled by the 6 ministries, but all the miscellaneous tasks have been assigned to the 6 departments below. Furthermore, because some important materials and certain precious resource production methods are still held by the 6 ministries, the lower 6 departments rely on resource allocation from above to maintain operations. Hence, even the surplus basic materials must be submitted upwards. They even work extra hard to submit more, hoping for more resources to be allocated from above. In Xia Hong's advanced perspective, this system design is almost a prototype of a governmental structure, even a rudimentary nation. You should know that this was entirely thought out by Xia Chuan himself. He didn't receive any guidance. Very well, it seems you've almost figured it out. Implement all the changes as you said. As for the division of Xia City, the candidates and benefits for 6 departments' positions, discuss with the 6 department directors. Present the results to me for approval. Xia Chuan didn't expect Xia Hong to agree so readily, and he was shocked for a moment. But realizing Xia Hong's great trust in him, a warm current surged in his heart, and he bowed with clasped hands. I will follow your command. That's all for today's meeting. Next. Xia Hong stopped there, stood up directly, and walked behind the high platform seat. The group followed his hand and realized that the large map of the Great Xia, which had always been hung behind the seat, was covered by a piece of yellow cloth today. The group already sensed something, and their breath became slightly heavy. With a swish, Xia Hong pulled away the yellow cloth, and, as expected by the group, the map of the Great Xia behind it had already been replaced. From conquering Long Mountain, east from Twin Dragon Valley, west to Long Mountain, south to the Xing River, and north to Mang Mountain, encompassing the 3 major resource areas of Arrow Bamboo Forest, Redwood Ridge, and Long Mountain, the entire Longyu area is all under Great Xia. Our territory has expanded to more than 15,000 square kilometers. Xia Hong calmly finished these words, and the breath of the cold resistance level individuals in the hall stagnated slightly. Especially those from Great Xia, who looked at the map with an overflow of excitement and emotion on their faces. In a short 3 years, from a mud slope to more than 15,000 square kilometers now, who would have thought? If said out loud, it might be hard for anyone to believe. But under Xia Hong's leadership, they actually achieved it. All right, telling you this isn't to get you excited. Xia Hong first teased to ease the excitement on their faces, then pointed to 13 station locations on the map and continued. Over 15,000 square kilometers, we truly control only Xia City and the surrounding areas of the 13 stations. Let's not talk about the exploration progress of the 3 resource areas, Redwood Ridge, Arrow Bamboo Forest, and Long Mountain, the foothills of Mang Mountain to the north, the entire north-south line of Double Dragon Mountain Wall to the east foot of Long Mountain to the west, and the area along the Xing River to the south. In other words, we haven't explored these 4 border areas of Great Xia's current territory. So your next task is to make the 13 stations as the center and accelerate the exploration of the border areas in 4 directions. If there's any human camp, merge them directly to ensure no hidden dangers within the border. Bring the entire Longyu land under Great Xia's rule as soon as possible to avoid further complications. I will follow your command. After giving the first task, Xia Hong continued to Xia Chuan. The restructuring of the 6 ministries needs to be accelerated. The 7th prison department can be established first. The Cloud Dragon army has been replenished with lacking personnel. Next is to expand the military. As I mentioned before, whoever is promoted to the advanced hunting team first will form the new army. We should form 4 additional military units as soon as possible and start establishing the military department. Xia Chuan quickly bowed and said, "I will follow your command." Long Yu still has a major issue. The 2 silver mines in Long Mountain also await your strength to arise, so heed to this. The group's expressions turned solemn upon hearing this. The cold resistance level individuals in Long Yu joined Great Xia for over 2 months. They naturally understood that the major issue Xia Hong referred to was the White Dugu of Yang Lu. The issue with White Dugu must be resolved quickly. So, for the next 2 months, I will be stationed at the Beehive. The newly replenished Cloud Dragon army will be led by Liu Yuan to station at Beehive. Everyone among the advanced hunting team who comes after will also head to Beehive to clear all cold beasts within Yanglu realm as quickly as possible. The body of White Dugu most likely remains at Yangyuan Peak. Without clearing the massive cold beasts it attracts, we can't get close to Yangyuan Peak, let alone see its form, and naturally can't resolve it. Of course, the solidified fire oil should be adequately prepared. The stretch from Yangyuan Peak southward through Redwood Ridge to Xia City isn't too long. To prevent that White Dugu from becoming desperate, I'm still leaving the holy tripod in Xia City, so the Beehive will have to rely on solidified fire oil. Xia Chuan, I'll leave this matter to you. Rest assured, my lord, I will handle it properly. In that case, today's meeting is adjourned. The following matters are for you and the 6 ministries to handle jointly. Xia Chuan nodded at these words and saw Xia Hong turn around and walk to the back. He immediately bowed deeply. "Farewell, my lord." "Farewell, my lord." Everyone else in the grand hall hurriedly bowed as well, seeing Xia Hong off. Restructuring the 6 ministries, zoning Xia City, personnel and benefits for the 6 departments, the newly added prison department, accelerating military expansion to prepare for the military department's establishment. Even though Xia Hong had left, Xia Chuan and the 6 department directors still had a lot to do. So, right after Xia Hong walked out, Xia Chuan continued to engage Yuan Dao and the 6 department directors, as well as all the cold resistance levels in the Grand Hall, to begin discussing and executing these matters one by one. As these discussions concluded, the news about the ennoblement, restructuring, military expansion, 6 ministries and 6 departments, newly added prison and military departments spread quickly inside and outside Xia City. Everyone knows that Great Xia is about to embrace an earth-shattering change once again. Chapter 816. Chapter 321. Purging the Yanglu realm, the Long Wu army is about to be formed. Second year of Great Xia, December 5th. About 20 kilometers west of the Beehive, in the Snowfield territory. This is already considered the heart of the Yanglu. And just like when Xia Hong took Chen Yingyuan and Peng Bo here at the end of June to survey, the entire area is still filled with thick white mist, with extremely low visibility. Roars roar. In the thick fog area, the continuous low beast roars can still be heard, and compared to half a year ago, it seems to have become even more frequent. Sizzle, sizzle. In the desolate and lonely Snowfield region, 2 slight sizzling sounds suddenly emerge, instantly recognizable as the sound of flames leaping up. Boom! A massive bonfire, 3 to 4 zhang high, suddenly rises from a low-lying area over 300 meters in circumference, instantly illuminating the surrounding area of 50 to 60 meters. And as some unknown black substance within the bonfire ignites, the black smoke it emits slowly disperses the surrounding white mist. The white mist is the culprit behind the extremely low visibility on the snowfield, but as it is dispersed by the black smoke, the area illuminated by the bonfire immediately expands to about a half-kilometer radius. Roars roar. At the same time, the originally low beast roars in the white mist area suddenly become wild. Thump thump thump. The earth suddenly trembles violently, and the sound of rapidly running beast hooves comes from all directions, converging on the bonfire as the focal point. Roar! A huge wolf head breaks through the dense white mist 100 meters away, its blood-red eyes fixed on the bonfire in the depression, filled with desire and greed. Bam! The frost wolf, just about to leap, is directly knocked away by a larger thunder cue from behind. Subsequently, more than 50 cold beasts of similar size charge out from the fog, rushing towards the bonfire. Then another 300 smaller cold beasts come pouring out of the fog area like a tidal wave, their target also clearly the bonfire. Roar, roar, roar. This could definitely be considered a mid-sized beast tide, and with intermediate cold beasts comprising 2/10 of it, its destructive power is far greater than a typical beast tide. Even a massive camp with a population of over 10,000 might not withstand such a beast tide, and could only become the target of trampling hooves, with no capability of resistance. However, this large bonfire was obviously created by human hands. Creating it so deliberately, they must have backing. Just as the more than 50 intermediate cold beasts in the front row all step into the depression, a sudden shout echoes from its perimeter. Horizontal blade camp, release the arrows. The circle of snow along the depression's line suddenly explodes, and 600 soldiers clad in pale gold armor rise abruptly from beneath the snow, drawing their bows and shooting arrows without hesitation at the 50-plus intermediate cold beasts below. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Hundreds of iron arrows swiftly light up the entire depression, with the airstreams from all directions being swept by the arrows, pouring towards the cold beasts below. Thud, thud, thud. The dozen or so cold beasts on the outermost perimeter bear the brunt of the first wave of arrow rain. Despite their nearly 10-meter size, under the simultaneous impact of these hundreds of arrows, they stagger inevitably. And this is just the first wave of arrow rain. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 6 horizontal blade camps surrounding the depression, having finished the first round of iron arrows, continue without pause, successive waves of arrow rain following one after another. Bam, bam. The cold beasts within the depression finally lose their footing, and once unbalanced, their troubles are far from over. An intermediate snow mane is directly knocked airborne by the arrow rain, crashing onto a demon sheep in the inner layer. Fuming with rage, it attempts to stand again, but its body is completely suppressed by the arrow rain, making it utterly unable to rise. The demon sheep, having been knocked into a daze, hasn't toppled completely yet, but with the continuous iron arrows, it ultimately collapses. The situation of this snow mane and demon sheep is a microcosm of the overall state of the 50-plus intermediate cold beasts within the depression, almost all of whom are firmly suppressed by the arrow rain and unable to move. Being in a depression and constrained by distance, their innate divine ability can't be effectively unleashed. However, this beast tide isn't just them. The 50-plus intermediate cold beasts are merely the fastest to reach the depression. The outer 300-plus low-level cold beasts are also charging this way. Roar! 4th camp, 5th camp, turn and shoot at the beast tide to the west. The remaining 4 camps continue to suppress the depression. Scouts in Mo-Blade camp, follow me to the enemy. Just like how the soldiers of the horizontal blade camp appeared, one figure after another suddenly arises from the snow about 50 meters outside the depression. 100 soldiers from the reconnaissance camp wielding various weapons on the western side, with 100 soldiers wielding massive Mo blades in the southeast and north directions, each. Bam! The 3-meter-long Mo blade is a perfect match against these slightly smaller low-level cold beasts. The 200 or so cold beasts from the east, south, and north are held at bay by the Mo blade camp, unable to advance an inch. Moreover, once the 3 Mo blade camp units repelled the first wave of the charge, they began collaborating, charging outwards, because the cold beasts cannot breach the 100-forged Thunder QE war armor they wore, while their 100-forged Mo blades can easily cut through the beast's skin membrane defenses. Weaklings, brothers, let's quickly finish up and go help the scouts. That's right, finish them up quickly and go help in the west. Chapter 817. Chapter 321. Purging the Yanglu realm, Long Wu's army assembles Part 2. A group of vile beasts, daring to act ferociously, kill. The 3 commanding officers shouted in unison, and the 300 soldiers of the Mo blade camp charged out even fiercer. Compared to the cold beasts, they appeared even more ferocious. The scout camp on the west side indeed needed help. The bonfire in this depression attracted cold beasts from all directions, but with a quick observation, it was evident that the number of cold beasts coming from the west, the direction of Yangyuan Peak, was the largest. The scout camp on the west side, although elite, struggled against the charge of over 100 cold beasts. Even with the support from 2 horizontal blade camps on the north and south sides of the depression, this was the case. Brothers, we are the elite of the scout camp. Don't let the brothers from the other 9 camps look down on us. It's our first time dealing with an intermediate-level beast tide. The scout camp cannot drop the ball. Charge with me." The scout camp colonel, Liu Yuan, wasn't present. At this moment, Wang Yuan was commanding in his place. Gripping his wide blade shield knife, after his furious roar, he forcefully knocked a demon sheep in front of him flying and then led the charge into the center of the beast tide on the west side. The other 99 elite scouts were inspired by Wang Yuan, whether holding swords, spears, staffs, or axes. No matter the weapon, they charged toward the center of the beast tide along the path he cleared, shouting. The beast tide, which was about to break through the defense line, was surprisingly stopped. Even though those low-level cold beasts fought desperately, even resorting to their innate life-saving abilities like snow mane spine needle, demon sheep golden eye, and blue moon essence hind limbs, they still couldn't stop the charge of these 100 elites. Not only were they stopped, but they were even pushed back and killed. All horizontal blade camp members enter the depression to finish up, and the Mo blade camp rotates to support the west side. Just at this moment, that command voice from before rang out again. It turned out that the arrow quivers behind the 6 horizontal blade camp soldiers were mostly empty. Hearing the order, the 6 horizontal blade camp squads around the depression, regardless of whether the arrow quivers were empty, all dropped their longbows, drew their waist horizontal blades, and charged into the lower part of the depression. By this time, more than 50 intermediate cold beasts below the depression had already suffered heavy casualties, leaving fewer than 20 barely standing. From their trembling limbs, their remaining combat power was clearly minimal. 600 golden armored soldiers charged down, nearly completing the slaughter of cold beasts in the depression with a sweeping momentum like that of autumn winds removing fallen leaves. On the west side of the depression, with the addition of 300 Mo blade camp soldiers from 3 other directions, the scout camp also completed the extermination of over 100 low-level cold beasts. Splurred. As the last frost wolf on the west side of the depression was beheaded by Wang Yuan, the beast tide triggered by the bonfire came to a complete end. Huff, 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 huff. Round the depression, within a mile's radius, a dense, bloody atmosphere pervaded everywhere. All the soldiers were silently catching their breath, their blood-stained faces flickering in the firelight as they exchanged glances, their mouths occasionally breaking into slight smiles filled with excitement, resembling warriors reborn from hell. This time at least over 400, the first time. How long did it take? Don't know, the commander hasn't spoken yet. You brat, almost wet your pants just now, right? You're the one who wet his pants. I at least cut down 2 cold beasts. I even shot an intermediate one. Ha ha ha, listen to him brag. The intermediate cold beasts were taken down by the 6 horizontal blade camp squads, and later they finished them off. You never left the depression. Cut me some slack, you can't just call me an egg. Had your hata. Oh yeah? Stop chatting, every camp report the losses quickly. The initial command voice sounded again, and everyone immediately stopped chatting. 4th camp 3rd squad gather quickly. 9th camp 2nd squad gather quickly. Scout camp 2nd squad come and gather quickly. 3rd camp 1st squad gather. Oh yeah? As each captain began summoning their squad members to gather at a place, the originally scattered army soldiers immediately took their position, reorganizing themselves. Simultaneously, Xia Hong, dressed in black, slowly walked over from a distance. As he approached the depression, 10 people rushed out from within the army and gathered around him, successively reporting loudly. Scout Camp 7 lightly wounded. 4th Camp 10 lightly wounded, 1 seriously wounded. 9th Camp 8 lightly wounded. 6th Camp 12 lightly wounded. 8th Camp 14 lightly wounded. 3rd Camp 9 lightly wounded. 1st Camp 6 lightly wounded. 2nd Camp 11 lightly wounded. 5th Camp 16 lightly wounded. 7th Camp 17 lightly wounded. Oh yeah? After hearing the battle losses reported by the 10 camps, Xia Hong turned to look at Wang Yuan and the 10 others, a smile slowly emerging on his face. He said, "Not bad, 362 low-level cold beasts, 58 intermediate cold beasts, a total of 420 cold beasts, total time half an hour. It seems these 2 months you haven't wasted time, your strength has improved quite a bit." Upon hearing Xia Hong's praise, whether it was Wang Yuan and the 10 others or the 1,000 Cloud Dragon army soldiers in the rear, their faces were filled with excitement and enthusiasm. Xia Chuan had just arrived at the beehive tonight, and Wang Yuan clearly knew what he most wanted to know, so he stepped forward and cupped his hands, speaking. At the beginning of October, when the army first arrived at the beehive, the Lord would personally lead us every evening to clear the periphery of the Yanglu realm. Whenever we encountered densely packed cold beasts, we'd use torches to lure a beast tide, but each time the Lord would control the scale of the beast tide to within 300 heads. In November, after we advanced to our current position, summoning a beast tide would result in the appearance of advanced cold beasts. The Lord worried that the army might not be able to handle it, so he let us rest for a while, first allowing the advanced hunting team to come and eliminate advanced cold beasts. After the hunting team cleared the area, we would sweep the surroundings. Chapter 818. Chapter 321. Purging the Yanglu Realm, Long Wu Army soon to be formed, Part 3. In the past half-month, we have mobilized only 3 times in total, advancing about 3 kilometers each time. Tonight, the minister is leading us in another sweep, and it's estimated that we are less than 10 kilometers away from Yangyuan Peak now. Upon hearing this, Xia Chuan's eyes lit up, and he nodded, looking towards the west. It took him more than 2 months to finally finish all the affairs in Xia City. Tonight, he finally had some free time to come to the beehive and check the situation. His elder brother has been leading the Cloud Dragon Army and all the advanced hunting teams at the camp to clear the cold beasts in the Yanglu realm. He was also concerned about the progress, and Wang Yuan's words just answered his doubts. However, Xia Chuan was still clearly puzzled and asked, I remember we currently only have the Cloud Jiao team and Dragon Wu team as the camp's advanced hunting teams. Is the clearing speed really this fast? You can come in and clear once every 5 days. According to Wang Yuan, Xia Hong's plan was to have the advanced hunting teams first clear out the advanced cold beasts in an area, and then have the Cloud Dragon Army come in to clear the mid- and low-level cold beasts. The plan made sense, but with only 2 advanced hunting teams in Great Xia, it was clearly insufficient. Advancing 3 kilometers at a time was somewhat exaggerated. At the end of June, Xia Hong had scouted Yanglu Realm. According to him, the density of advanced cold beasts there was not low, and even with him personally leading, the 2 hunting teams wouldn't be able to advance that quickly. Wang Yuan clearly knew about this and quickly smiled. The minister might not be aware. Although we only have 2 advanced hunting teams, our camp has a lot of cold resistance level personnel. The leader has transferred all the defenders from the other 10 stations in Longyu, including the cold resistance levels from the 6 departments, to the beehive. They work in groups of 3, which makes the clearing speed much faster. Upon hearing Wang Yuan's explanation, Xia Chuan suddenly realized. That makes perfect sense now. Including the beehive, Longyu has a total of 11 stations, 10 small ones plus 1 established 6 departments at Long Mountain. The stationed cold resistance levels add up to 16, plus 8 more who came from Xia City within the last 2 months, totaling 24. In groups of 3, that makes 8 teams capable of hunting advanced cold beasts. Adding in Cloud Jiao and Dragon Wu, that makes a total of 10 advanced teams, making the advancing speed towards Yangyuan Peak faster, naturally. Xia Chuan continued looking towards the direction of Yangyuan Peak in the west, asking Wang Yuan, do those 8 3-person teams come every night? Are they there now? Wang Yuan nodded and said, they never miss a night. The efficiency of those 24 adults in hunting is indeed high. Sometimes they can hunt over 10 advanced cold beasts in one night, even better than the Cloud Jiao and Dragon Wu teams. The efficiency of a 3-person team consisting of cold resistance levels hunting advanced cold beasts is higher than that of the Cloud Jiao and Dragon Wu teams. Hearing this, Xia Chuan's face showed a hint of suspicion. Great Xia's advanced hunting teams are fully staffed at 100, but not everyone goes out for hunting. At most, only half the people are deployed. The Cloud Jiao team was founded by himself, so he was very clear about their strength. Currently, Liu Yuan held 2 positions leading it, with Liu Yuan and Xi Ping as cold resistance levels, and more than half the members had broken through to the earth-digging realm limit. How could such a team have lower efficiency in hunting advanced cold beasts than a team composed of 3 cold resistance level? Not to mention Yuan Dao's Dragon Wu team. The Dragon Wu team now has 4 cold resistance levels, and not to mention the captain Yuan Dao, whose strength is not even inferior to his own. Are those 8 teams led by the Lord personally? Wang Yuan quickly nodded and replied, indeed, every night the Lord and Lady lead them, departing from the beehive together. That makes sense then. If the elder brother was personally leading, then it was natural for their hunting efficiency to be high. I see, so that's how the 8 teams suddenly became so formidable. It's because the Lord and Lady assisted them. At this point, Wang Yuan also understood and displayed a look of sudden comprehension. Xia Chuan slightly moved his gaze, asking Wang Yuan, "So now those 8 three-person teams, along with the Cloud Jiao and Dragon Wu teams, plus the Lord and Lady, are all deep in the west, correct?" "That's right. Does the minister want to go in and find them?" "I have important matters to inform you and Director. You lead the main force back first." "At your command." After signaling Wang Yuan to lead the main force back to the beehive, Xia Chuan was about to head west but paused when something came to mind. He glanced towards the Cloud Dragon army and smilingly praised Wang Yuan. "You have made great progress during this period. Including you, there are a total of 4 cold resistance levels, right?" As he spoke, he scanned the crowd, quickly identifying the other 3 who recently broke through to the cold resistance level: Zhu Xing from the reconnaissance camp and the colonels from the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th camps. "The minister overpraises us. The amount of high-level beast blood the Lord rewarded us in these 2 months was more than enough to use, and it would have been a waste of the Lord's efforts if we didn't have several breakthroughs." Hearing Xia Chuan's praise, Wang Yuan's face immediately lit up with a smile. Indeed, over the past 2 months, following Xia Hong in clearing cold beasts around the beehive, the Cloud Dragon army has gained astonishing benefits. "All right then, pack up your prey and head back to the beehive. I'll go ahead first." Respectfully seeing off the minister. Respectfully seeing off the minister. Hearing Wang Yuan's voice, the Cloud Dragon army soldiers also knew Xia Chuan was leaving, and they immediately shouted in unison to respectfully send him off. Chapter 819. Chapter 321. Purging the Yanglu realm, Long Wu army soon to be formed 4. After Xia Chuan walked away, another cold resistance level scout from the reconnaissance camp, Zhu Xing, immediately ran up to Wang Yuan, full of curiosity, and asked, "Old Wang, why did the minister suddenly come over?" Xia Chuan hadn't left Xia City for over 2 months. Suddenly coming to the beehive surely wasn't a trivial matter. Zhu Xing's curiosity was understandable. Wang Yuan clearly knew a bit, and he laughed. "The minister just said he had important news to inform you and Sijeng. What else could it be? Surely it's about the army formation." Upon hearing this, Zhu Xing's expression immediately changed slightly, and he nodded. The Dragon Wu team was just promoted to an advanced hunting team in November. According to the Lord's original rules, the first hunting team to be promoted to advanced level qualifies to establish the second army. Originally, last month when the Dragon Wu team was promoted, the army formation should have happened, but it was postponed because the number of people at the camp's earth-digging realm limit wasn't enough. Xia Chuan hurried over to inform Yuan Dao now. "It's likely 9 out of 10 that it's about this matter. The Lord is eager to clear the cold beasts in the Yanglu realm. Relying on our single army is too slow, and the minister is definitely aiming for this point, to build the Dragon Martial Army as soon as possible. Then the 2 armies will clear together. Efficiency will surely be faster." Hearing that the Dragon Martial Army was about to form, Zhu Xing clenched the big saber in his hand, disbelief etched on his face. He was also reflecting on the fickle nature of life's opportunities. Last April, he was just a leader of an ordinary mid-sized camp at 5'8" Mountain, his basic strength barely over 20,000 pounds. Who would have thought that today he has already broken through to the cold resistance level and is a member of the Cloud Dragon Army's reconnaissance camp under the minister? Moreover, Liu Yuan is likely to succeed the minister, becoming the commander of the Cloud Dragon Army. By then Wang Yuan will surely take the position of colonel of the reconnaissance camp, and Zhu Xing is likely to become the second in command of the reconnaissance camp. No, Liu Yuan recently intended to promote him to become a colonel of the 9 camps. Maybe after the Yanglu affair is over, Liu Yuan will apply to the commander. Zhu Xing suppressed his excitement and thought of what Wang Yuan just said about the Dragon Martial Army. He laughed and said, "The second army, our Cloud Dragon Army, will no longer be the only one. Director and minister have some shadows of rivalry. Now with 2 army designations coming out, their future competition will surely be more intense." Wang Yuan was taken aback, but quickly nodded in agreement with his statement. The open and covert competition between Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao in Great Xia wasn't exactly a secret. Almost everyone knew it. The Cloud Jiao and Long Wu teams from low-level hunting teams to advanced hunting teams, and now to army formation. It is essentially a process of them chasing each other. Anyone slightly clever can see it. The minister and director are both favored children of heaven, only in Great Xia with the Lord suppressing them, otherwise placed in any other camp. These two could never coexist peacefully. Zhu Xing nodded, showing complete agreement on his face. All right, inform the soldiers to quickly prepare the prey, heading back to the beehive. After today's clearance, we can rest for a few more days. All right, I'll go notify them now. Prepare the prey, ready to return to beehive camp. Deep within the Yanglu realm, Xia Chuan walked westward in the white mist zone, traveling only 3 to 4 kilometers. He heard sounds coming from ahead. Tighten the ropes, don't let them come over. Yue Feng, take 11 people around to the back, block those 3 demon sheep. Xuanling, take the remaining people, eliminate those 5 striped tigers. All other cold beasts leave to me, go. It's Big Brother's voice, already coming deep in here. Recognizing Xia Hong's voice and knowing he was handling the cold beasts, Xia Chuan immediately leaped forward, swiftly rushing over. Chapter 820, Chapter 322, The Cold Beast Group's Treasure Hunt and the Panic of the White Dugu. In the Yanglu realm, the area not yet cleared by the army was still shrouded in thick fog, so Xia Chuan walked another 500 meters deeper before he could see the scene ahead. On the snowfield more than 100 meters away, Li Xuanling led Peng Bo and 12 others in a struggle against 5 fierce sawtooth tigers with white skin and black spots. Each of these striped tigers stretched over 20 meters long, revealing their fierceness with bared teeth and claws. Behind her, Yue Feng, Chen Yingyuan, Lin Kai, Meng Yi, and 11 others were joining forces to fend off 3 demon sheep. The demon sheep were not only over 25 meters long each, but also had 700 to 800 eyes all over them, displaying remarkable strength. Looking to Li Xuanling's right, the scene was even more exaggerated. Xia Hong wielded the cold blood blade, being tightly surrounded by 3 cold beasts. On the left was a striped tiger 25 meters long. On the right was a robust demon sheep over 30 meters long, with more than 1,000 eyes all over it. Behind him was a golden armored thunder Kui about 20 meters long, covered in a layer of pure golden skin membrane. Its forehead bore a skyward 6-meter-long blue-golden sharp horn, with its exterior covered in a unique pattern of lightning, faintly flickering with arcs. Roar! Among the 3 cold beasts, the striped tigers, being the most numerous, made the greatest noise. The demon sheep relied on their eyes, the thunder Kui on its forehead horn, while the striped tigers' innate ability was sonic. Their roar carried a certain low-frequency vibration that made human hearts tremble intensely, not only highly intimidating, but also disrupting consciousness. Even though Xia Chuan was 100 meters away, his heart began to beat rapidly. Help! Of course, a rapidly pounding heart was not enough to scare him. Suddenly, Xia Chuan unsheathed the black blade with his right hand, lunged forward, and within 3 to 4 breaths, reached Xia Hong's side, seizing an opening during the demon sheep's charge to slash directly at its forehead. Clang! The advanced cold beast's strength was at least above 10 bristles, not to mention this was a 1,000-eyed demon sheep. Previously, Chen Yingyuan, Peng Bo, and 9 others encountered a 1,000-eyed demon sheep at Redwood Ridge, and if Xia Hong hadn't intervened, they would likely have lost their lives. Xia Chuan had a basic strength of merely 6 bristles, and his long fist proficiency was not as good as Xia Hong. Even with the holy pattern enhancement, he could at most exert the strength of about 10 bristles, standing little chance against the demon sheep. As the black blade collided with the demon sheep's horn, Xia Chuan's body flew backward like a loose kite, flying back a good 10 meters, crashing directly into the waist and abdomen of the striped tiger on the left. Thud! Ye, your strength has improved. Xia Hong threw a left-hand punch at the demon sheep's horn, sending it flying back over 20 meters. Turning to observe the fallen Xia Chuan, rather than showing any awkwardness, he almost flipped the striped tiger in the process, his eyes revealing a hint of astonishment. He had noticed Xia Chuan from 100 meters away. Knowing Xia Chuan came to assist him, he already expected it, but considering the strength of the 1,000-eyed demon sheep, Xia Chuan should not have been able to stand up to it. Leveraging strength to nearly flip the striped tiger, this was not something Xia Chuan, with 8 bristles of strength, could manage. Since Big Brother has been improving, I can't remain idle. Broken through to mid-stage. Just a bit more, my basic strength is already 10 bristles. Upon hearing this, Xia Hong showed a touch of appreciation. He remembered clearly that during the martial arts competition in June, Xia Chuan's basic strength was only 6 bristles, and with the holy patterns 30% and long fist forms 20% amplification, he could only exert close to 10 bristles of explosive strength. Now with basic strength increased to 10 bristles, plus other amplifications, his maximum explosive strength could reach 15 bristles. This indeed explained things clearly. Good, go help Yue Feng's side. You can't handle these 3. Xia Hong's eyes reflected his appreciation, but there was no time for further words. Indicating Xia Chuan to assist the others, he then propelled himself off the ground, charging directly toward the striped tiger he had just nearly overturned. Xia Chuan initially wanted to refuse, but, recalling the brief encounter with the demon sheep and striped tiger, and after scanning the other battlefields, he ultimately adhered to Xia Hong's instructions and dashed toward Yue Feng's side in the rear. The 3 advanced cold beasts on Xia Hong's side were undoubtedly the strongest, with the demon sheep's explosive strength of at least 20 bristles, and the striped tiger and thunder QE likely stronger than the demon sheep. Such strength was too much for him to even consider intervening. Moreover, the pressure was indeed greatest on Yue Feng's side. Though the other side had 5 striped tigers, numerically more, Li Xuanling was second only to Xia Hong in prowess, and with Li Tiancheng's help, the 5 striped tigers were nearly being forced back. In contrast, Yue Feng's side wasn't faring as well with 12 people. Only Chen Yingyuan was somewhat capable. Aside from him, Yuan Dao, Zhou Yuan, and Hu Ming's group were pressing a demon sheep, but the other 2 groups of 8 were obviously struggling, several times nearly being broken through by 2 demon sheep. Roar! Additionally, the robust demon sheep engaged with Xia Hong seemed to be issuing some command to the 3 fellow sheep fighting Yue Feng's group. Hearing the calls, they frequently looked toward the middle, trying continuously to break through and join forces with the 5 striped tigers. Bang! Xia Chuan had arrived just in time, and seeing a demon sheep about to rush over, he faced the demon sheep's shot of gold light, braving it to slash his big saber at the demon sheep's head, forcibly driving it back again. Chapter 821. Chapter 322. Cold beast teams join forces for treasure. Panic among the white Dugu. Can these advanced cold beasts communicate with each other? The group he chose to assist consisted of Yue Feng, Song Kang, Lin Kai, and Meng Yi. Upon hearing his words, Yue Feng, who had just used his longsword to pierce through the demon sheep's eye on its back, immediately nodded. The advanced cold beasts in the inner area all move in groups, and there's hardly any that are alone. They seem to be competing for something. The Lord took a risk to check it out earlier, and many advanced cold beasts are guarding near Yangyuan Peak, as if waiting for something from above. This group of 11 cold beasts is relatively on the outer periphery. The Lord originally intended to attract them one by one, but they seemed to naturally form a team and came together. The implications of Yue Feng's words were immense. As Xia Chuan continued to join forces with the 4 to exterminate the demon sheep, his expression changed instantly. Different species of advanced cold beasts are moving in packs, all stationed around Yangyuan Peak, evidently attracted by something summoned by that white Dugu. The group of advanced cold beasts they're dealing with now has 3 species, totaling up to 11 beasts. Among them, 3 leaders are currently besieging Xia Hong, and their strength is formidable. Such a group can only be found on the outskirts of Yangyuan Peak. How powerful must the groups of cold beasts closer to Yangyuan Peak be? Pache. As Xia Chuan's expression continuously changed, there was finally progress on the rear battlefield. It was Li Xuanling. She, together with Li Tiancheng, successfully exterminated the first striped tiger. Without any hesitation after the kill, she immediately joined the battle with Song Kang and Yue Kaiyan, assisting them in dealing with the remaining 4. Roared! The death of that striped tiger evidently alerted the other 10 cold beasts to the danger, especially the 3 leaders that had long been attacking Xia Hong without success. The striped tiger among them let out an angry roar, and the other 4 striped tigers being besieged by Li Xuanling received the command. They ignored the weapons of Li Xuanling and others, recklessly charging towards Xia Hong's direction. Block them! Li Xuanling's face changed drastically. Xia Hong was already under great pressure being attacked by the 3 strongest ones, and if these 4 striped tigers also rushed over, the outcome was unpredictable. However, her concern was evidently unnecessary. But Jade. As the striped tiger opened its mouth to roar, Xia Hong made a rear kick, his body suddenly exploding forward, thrusting the cold blood blade directly into its upper jaw. Zio! A strong force of traction issued from the blade, and the striped tiger's pupils flashed with horror, wildly shaking its head attempting to break free from Xia Hong. But how could its strength compare to Xia Hong's? No need to obstruct them. They're trying to escape, catch as many as we can. Xia Hong's right hand firmly grasped the hilt, keeping the blade lodged in the upper jaw, and with his left hand tugged at the striped tiger's frontal mane, not only resisting being flung away, but actually pulling the striped tiger's body back towards him by force. Roared! The strongest among the three, Thunder Kui, suddenly let out a cry at this moment. However, there was no explosive intent in this cry. It clearly recognized the might of Xia Hong's cold blood blade, and its eyes were full of apprehension and fear. After calling, it turned and ran towards the southern snowy field. Roar! Seeing Thunder Kui run, the demon sheep had no heart left for the fight, but it seemed a bit greedy. Not only did it want to run itself, it also wanted to take its three underlings with it, issuing calls to get the three demon sheep at the back to retreat. Letting the strongest one escape is one thing, but you think you can run too. Greed will inevitably come at a price. The moment the striped tiger fell, Xia Hong withdrew the cold blood blade, noticing that the demon sheep was barely 100 meters away and swiftly chasing after it. The slender, narrow blade of the cold blood blade, being handled by Xia Hong, was as nimble as a butterfly, puncturing several eyes on the back of the demon sheep precisely, accompanied by sounds of bones cracking, blood splattered, and the demon sheep's running posture gradually weakened and slowed. It barely ran past 200 meters before succumbing to exhaustion and falling. 2 out of the 3 strongest cold beasts were now gone. Xia Hong picked up the demon sheep's corpse, which had shrunk back to a normal size, and continued north. With his addition, the outcomes of the other 2 battlefields were easy to predict. Just after helping Yue Feng's side finish off the 3 demon sheep, Li Xuanling's side had already dealt with all 5 striped tigers. The Thunder Kui was probably just brought in temporarily to help. The main forces were these 6 striped tigers and 4 demon sheep. It's truly rare to see these advanced cold beasts forming alliances to snatch treasures. Just arriving, Xia Chuan saw such advanced cold beasts joining forces for the first time, couldn't help but sigh as he walked beside Xia Hong. The others apparently were unfazed by it. Yue Feng, slightly breathless, explained. The minister just arrived and is not very familiar with the situation. The area within a radius of 7 or 8 kilometers around Yangyuan Peak is like this. These advanced cold beasts almost never act alone. It ranges from 5 to 6 to as many as 20 to 30. Also, there is always a leader among them. Tonight's group is considered to be a normal-sized group. Hearing this, Xia Chuan asked with slight surprise, "Are there many such groups inside?" Before Yue Feng could respond, Xia Hong spoke up. "I went in 3 days ago to take a look. Around Yangyuan Peak, there are a total of 13 groups. Tonight's is considered the weakest. 10 groups have numbers of at least 20 beasts, and at the core there are 2 clans, namely the Snow Manes and Frost Wolves, each with over 500 beasts, with over 100 intermediate and more than 30 advanced." Chapter 822. Chapter 322. The Cold Beast Clans Joining Forces for Treasure, White Dugu's Panic Part 3. Xia Chuan's expression immediately changed. 10 groups, each with more than 20 heads, that adds up to more than 200 high-level cold beasts, not to mention the more troublesome Snow Mane and Frost Wolf clans. Does this mean we have no chance of getting close to Yangyuan Peak? Their expressions turned even more grave upon hearing his words. However, Xia Hong's face showed a trace of indifference as he smiled lightly and said, "If all these cold beasts unite, there truly is no hope, but after tonight, things will be different. As long as our strength is enough and we are well prepared beforehand, taking them down one by one is still possible." Upon hearing this, everyone's expressions brightened immediately. Even Xia Chuan glanced at the 10 cold beast carcasses on the ground and immediately understood Xia Hong's intention, nodding lightly. There are less than 7 kilometers left to Yangyuan Peak. With such a big commotion just now in the battle, how could those high-level cold beasts not hear it? Their failure to appear proves that these high-level cold beast groups are wary of each other. Considering they're here at Yangyuan Peak to compete for treasure, they're likely mutually hostile. With that in mind, Using torches to take them down one by one indeed holds hope. These cold beasts aren't controlled by the white dew and haven't shown any signs of being infected by the dewdrop plague, which proves that at most, it can only lure the cold beasts here. Apart from that, it can't do anything else, which makes dealing with it easier for us. Once we gradually clear out the surrounding cold beasts and disperse the white mist in the area, approaching Yangyuan Peak will naturally follow. Li Chuanling, who had just finished inspecting the striped tiger carcass, approached. That white dew was the cause of her second brother Li Chuanxiang's death. Clearly, she also harbors resentment and is contemplating how to approach Yangyuan Peak to deal with it. Xia Hong smiled slightly and said, "Simple to say, difficult to do. 2 months have passed and we've just cleaned up this area. Tonight's group of 11 wasn't too strong, but taking them down was also very strenuous. Next comes cold beast groups with over 20 heads each, and if they've reached some cooperation among themselves, it'll be even more troublesome for us." True, since different high-level cold beasts can communicate with each other, who can guarantee that the remaining 10 groups won't continue working together? After all, with 2 clans in the center to successfully seize the treasure on Yangyuan Peak, they might join forces again, which isn't impossible. Upon realizing this, everyone's expressions turned more serious. Xia Hong turned to look at the western side of Yangyuan Peak, his expression slightly tensed. In a 6-kilometer radius, attracting nearly 300 high-level cold beasts, this white dew certainly went to great lengths. Xia Hong wasn't aware of the specific distinction in the strength of high-level cold beasts, but he ventured in 3 days ago to spy on them once. Near Yangyuan Peak, thousand-eyed demon sheep, snow mane breathing ice, frost wolf moving swiftly, and Tang Jiao with a thumb-thick emerald jade color. All of these prove that the strength of the inner group of cold beasts is increasingly terrifying. Being able to draw so many cold beasts, it should be something important enough to promote a beast king, right? I wonder if it has any effect on humans. The cold beasts are greedy, and naturally, Xia Hong is greedy too. With so many cold beasts gathered here, what the white dew produced must be extremely precious. Even without mentioning this, the white dew itself is a great opportunity. Xia Hong suppressed the desire in his heart, turned to look at Xia Chuan, and subtly asked, "Why are you here? Is the number of dragon martial army sufficient?" Before Xia Chuan could answer, Yuan Dao on the other side eagerly turned his head, looking at him full of expectation. Xia Chuan naturally noticed this too, smiled and nodded in response. Many breakthroughs occurred in November, and now the earth-digging realm limit has exceeded 1,200 people, so the dragon martial army can indeed start forming. "That's great." Yuan Dao couldn't contain his joy and exclaimed excitedly. Since last month, when the Dragon Wu team was elevated to an advanced hunting team, he has been waiting for this day. Hearing Xia Chuan confirm the number of soldiers is sufficient, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. "That's right, after we return to Beehive to rest, Yuan Dao should head back to Xia City to form the army. Once formed, waste no time and bring the Dragon Martial Army to Beehive. Conduct drills directly in Yanglu realm." Upon hearing Xia Hong's words, Yuan Dao immediately cupped his hands and replied, "By your command." There are still 10 kilometers of thick fog area in Yanglu realm. The outskirts need to continue being cleared, and if the Dragon Martial Army joins, efficiency will certainly improve greatly. However, 2 armies alone are far from enough. Xia Hong continued to ask Xia Chuan, "Is everything in Xia City settled?" For the past 2 months, Xia Chuan hadn't left Xia City due to the Reformation, certainly not running this trip just to handle the Dragon Martial Army. Sure enough, hearing Xia Hong's inquiry, Xia Chuan's face immediately showed excitement as he nodded and replied, "Everything's ready. The outer city is divided into east, south, west, and north zones, with each area having over 90,000 people and a complete 6-department structure established. The heads of the 6 departments are all arranged and are of cold resistance level." "All of cold resistance level, are there enough people?" Upon hearing this, Xia Hong's face revealed a trace of surprise as he asked. "With 6 departments heads in all 4 zones being cold resistance level, that totals 24 people. Certainly, Great Xia can present 24 cold resistance levels, but as he knows, many cold resistance levels are already handling duties, and the new batch of cold resistance levels integrated into Longyu are busy leading their respective hunting teams, likely without time to take positions in the 6 departments. Chapter 823. Chapter 322. The The Cold Beast Clans Joining Forces for Treasure, White Dugu's Panic Part 4. I've already started deploying the people from Longyu, and the Lord might not be aware, but in the past 2 months, quite a few have broken through to the cold resistance level in the camp. Upon hearing this, Xia Hong's eyes immediately brightened. He realized he hadn't been paying attention to the number of people at the cold resistance level in the camp and asked immediately, "How many?" With an excited tone, Xia Chuan said, "The entire camp has a total of 17. The Cloud Dragon Army alone accounts for 4. Another 9 come from the 5 hunting teams, Long Wu, Chalong, Steel Mane, Tiger Leopard, and Hunting Eagle. The remaining 4 are from the people merged from Longyu this time. 17 have broken through, and with the 89 from early October, the number of people at the cold resistance level in Great Xia has already exceeded 3 digits, reaching 106. After arriving at this number, everyone's expressions brightened significantly. Xia Hong was no exception. His eyes lit up as he said, "Not bad. If this breakthrough speed can be maintained, it might not be long before we can completely clear out the Yanglu realm." The most difficult issue with the Yanglu realm currently is the advanced cold beasts banding together. With enough cold resistance levels, plus the support of the Cloud Dragon and Long Wu armies, the hope is considerable. Clean up here, drag these 10 prey back to the beehive, and you and Dao take them back to Xia City. There are still 25 days left in the month. Before the 1st of January, improve the supply of beast blood and high-level beast blood in the camp supply department. Also, allocate more spots from the Martial Arts Academy, and do our best to assist in the earth-digging realm limit breakthroughs in the camp to see how many can break through. With enough manpower, we might resolve the troubles here before next year." Upon hearing this, Xia Chuan and the others immediately bowed and replied, "Understood." Currently, Great Xia does not lack earth-digging realm limit people. The Cloud Dragon Army and the soon-to-be-formed Dragon Martial Army soldiers number 2,000, plus the members of each advanced hunting team department below, there are at least 2,500. With sufficient beast blood supply, supported by the Martial Arts Academy spots, more and more people are breaking through to the cold resistance level. It happens almost naturally. As long as there's enough manpower, resolving the cold beasts in the Yanglu realm is not a problem at all. The only concern is whether the White Dugu will cause any disturbances during this process. I will remain stationed at the beehive and check in periodically. Leave the other matters to you. On December 29th, just tell me the total number of cold resistance levels in Xia City." "Understood." "All right, let's head back." After Xia Hong finished speaking, he directly headed east. The others picked up the 10 advanced cold beasts on the ground and followed him back to the beehive. 7 kilometers to the west, within the dense fog of Yangyuan Peak, a fist-sized orb emitting blue flames continuously released thick white smoke. The orb seemed alive, eagerly awaiting the east. Splitting off a third of the Holy Sun body and still unable to kill him, he's about to come with that great cauldron. The weaklings I've drawn in are useless, they can't stop them at all. What to do, what to do? From inside the orb came a sharp female voice. The voice carried a strain of hysterical madness and a sense of impending doom and unease. "He possesses the yin-yang mirror. No matter how I disguise myself, I can't escape, absolutely can't escape. I won't be captured, not after such a hard-fought revival. I'd rather die than become another's slave." Got it, Heyahata. Roar. After the sinister, frenzied female voice vanished, a panicked beast's roar suddenly echoed beside Yangyuan Peak. Chapter 824. Chapter 323. Approaching labor, the talented Xiao family assembles urgently. Second year of Great Xia, December 15. Not long after nightfall, inner city, Xiao Mansion, front courtyard reception hall. The hostess Lin Lan was arranging the family banquet with 2 maids. "Here, this dish is prepared for Ninger, place it over here." "Xiao Yue, go to the kitchen and fetch 3 bottles of aged wine." "Yes, madam." "Xiao Ping, go check if the stew is ready, if so, bring it over." "I'll go right away, madam." "The banquet is about to start, let me see what's still missing." Although she was so busy she couldn't stop, Lin Lan had a beaming face and her lips were always curved into a smile, clearly enjoying the process. "Father, mother, eldest sister and second sister have arrived, come quickly." Suddenly, the loud voice of her son, Xiao Hen, came from the main entrance. Lin Lan hurriedly put down what she was doing. Then, accompanied by 2 maids, quickly washed her hands and headed towards the main entrance. In the main hall, 4 middle-aged men had just walked out, led by Lin Lan's husband, Xiao Qingcheng, with Xiao Yuan closest to him, and 2 others who resembled Xiao Qingcheng, clearly his brothers. A large group also rushed out from the side hall, consisting of 3 women leading 15 young boys and girls, their faces full of curiosity as they followed behind the 4 men towards the main entrance. Sister Ning and Sister Yu have arrived. It's been a long time since we saw them. You can't call them that, you have to call them Madam. Right, it's proper to call them Madam. I heard the second Madam has just advanced. She's the 3rd female cold resistance level in Xia City now. That was 3 days ago, and Uncle personally went to see it. Isn't the second Madam still pregnant? Yes, she's heavily pregnant, that's why Uncle was worried. Luckily, nothing happened. Today's family banquet is to celebrate the second Madam's advancement. And Uncle Yuan, he also advanced last night. Uncle Yuan, and including the first Madam, now we have 5 cold resistance level members in the Xiao family. Soon there will be more. The second and third uncles are close too. Oh yeah? Cough, cough, everyone quiet down. Don't be rude when you see the Madams. As the head of the family, Xiao Qingcheng spoke, and all the women and younger members immediately closed their mouths and obediently followed behind him to the main entrance. However, before they could step out, Xiao Hin had already led a group in. At the very front was Xiao Ning, heavily pregnant, with a noticeable difficulty walking. By her side, Xiao Yu's abdomen was only slightly swollen, clearly not far along in her pregnancy. Each of them was supported by 2 maids, walking slowly and carefully. Xiao Qingcheng first gave his son, Xiao Hin, a glance, blaming him for bringing the guests in first, before leading the whole family towards his 2 daughters and bowing respectfully. Greetings to the 2 madams. Oh dear father, mother, Uncle Yuan, second uncle, third uncle, and aunts, what are you all doing? Please get up. If this continues, my elder sister and I will be too afraid to come back. Seeing their parents and uncles leading the whole family and saluting them, Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu both became a bit upset and quickly insisted everyone stand. When the parents and others stood up, Xiao Ning irritably said, "These Xia Li rituals are too impersonal, making family feel so distant." She clearly understood that her parents were saluting her due to the stipulations in the 9-rank title system outlined in Xia Li's 4 chapters. Presently, nearly everyone's daily behavior at the Great Xia camp was bound by Xia Li, particularly the regulations that commoners must bow to nobles and lower-ranked titles must bow to higher-ranking titles. Her husband Xia Chuan was conferred with the 8th-rank Chixil Marquis, and she and Xiao Yu were granted the title of 8th-grade wives, while Xiao Qingcheng held the 9th-rank Marquis Chuanling, and by Xia Li's system, he indeed must bow to them both. Though these were the rules, seeing her parents salute her naturally filled the 2 women with discomfort, prompting them to complain about how impersonal the Xia Li system was. But Xiao Qingcheng saw through it more clearly, waving his hand with a smile. The new regulations just came out. Strictly following them is not wrong. Doesn't Xia Li have content on father-son etiquette? I bet there will be adjustments and amendments in the future. Upon hearing this, Xiao Ning remembered that Xia Chuan had indeed mentioned this before, and she nodded with a smile. Father sees things more clearly than we do. My husband did say this, that the father-son etiquette should override the title system etiquette. Ah, enough standing around the entrance, I can barely stand anymore. Let's go in quickly and have a seat. Xiao Yu, frank by nature, urged everyone to go inside. All right, since Yu has spoken, everyone, please head inside and take your seats. Xiao Qingcheng, knowing his second daughter's temperament, laughed and motioned for everyone to enter. Lin Lan had been unable to contain herself any longer, and immediately hurried to Xiao Ning's side, replacing the maid and taking her daughter's arm, looking at her eldest daughter with compassion. Ninger, I was going to have Henner pick you up. Why did you come on your own? You are due next month. Be careful not to hurt my grandchild. Seeing Lin Lan's anxious appearance, several aunts also crowded around, some offering support, others engaging in conversation, presenting a scene of stars surrounding the moon, firmly protecting Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu as they headed towards the reception hall. Oh mother, I'm not that fragile. It's just carrying a child. You had 3 of us and weren't this nervous, and the 3 aunts each had 4 or 5 children, and it wasn't this exaggerated. Hearing Xiao Ning's words, Lin Lan retorted, how can that be the same? The treasure you're carrying is precious. Henner told me that even his uncle personally named him. My little Yuzong will be an outstanding gentleman of Great Xia in the future. Chapter 825. Chapter 323. Approaching labor, the talented Xiao family assembles urgently. Lin Lan spoke more and more proudly, and the three women beside her also started to joke along. Well, indeed, before even coming out the Lord personally named him. Such favor is unique in our great Xia. With over 400,000 people in Xia City, who could be more precious than our little Yuzong? Not a noble son, but clearly a little minister, haha. Upon hearing the praise from her three sisters-in-law, Lin Lan's smile naturally grew wider. Originally, Xia Hong chose two names. The boy would be called Yuzong, and the girl would be called Yuning. Everyone obviously assumed that Xiao Ning was expecting a boy, not even mentioning the name Yuning. During the greetings, everyone stepped into the reception hall and sat down one by one. Today is the Xiao family's banquet, and those present are all members of the Xiao clan. Xiao Qingcheng, the head of the family, naturally sat at the main seat. Beside him was his wife Lin Lan, and their two daughters Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu were on either side. Next in line was his cousin Xiao Yuan and his wife, and his two younger brothers Xiao Kangyu and Xiao Kangjin, along with their respective wives. Following them were the second-generation disciples of the Xiao family, including his son Xiao Hen, Xiao Lin, Xiao Jing, Xiao Sen, Xiao Yue, Xiao Yan, Xiao Qing, totaling 16 people. Tonight is the banquet to celebrate Yuer and a Yuan's breakthrough to cold resistance level. Not so many formalities, everyone is here, let's start the feast. Xiao Qingcheng spoke, and everyone smiled and picked up their chopsticks. Thus began a harmonious family banquet. Looking at such a large family, Xiao Qingcheng couldn't help but feel a bit wistful, recalling a year ago when they were at 5-8 Mountain with over 1,000 people living a bitter life. Compared to now, it felt like a dream. Today's 26 attendees counted as the entire Xiao family. Among them, 4 are at cold resistance level: himself, Xiao Yuan, Xiao Ning, and Xiao Yu. His two younger brothers Xiao Kangyu and Xiao Kangjin are at Earth-Digging Realm Limit Cultivation and have just been selected into the Dragon Martial Army as camp-level captains, estimated to break through to cold resistance level soon. Out of 16 second-generation disciples, 7 are at Earth-Digging Realm. His son Xiao Hen just achieved 18th place in June's Logging Realm Martial Arts competition, standing out amongst them. The remaining 11, considering their age, have decent talent. Among them, one is about to break the Earth-Digging Realm breakthrough record as a promising seed. Today's Xiao family, with its own strength alone, is enough to secure a place in the Great Xia's high society. Plus Xiao Ning and Xiao Yu as minister's wife. Saying the Xiao family has joined the top aristocracy of Great Xia is no exaggeration. With such a life, what more could one ask for? Yuer congratulates Uncle Yuan on his breakthrough. From now on, our Xiao Mountain team will have 4 at cold resistance level. Once Big Sister gives birth, we can try hunting advanced cold beasts and maybe even form the Xiao Mountain Army. While Xiao Qingcheng was reminiscing, he heard his daughter Xiao use words. His expression first showed some interest, but after a moment of thought, he shook his head and quickly calmed down. Xiao Yuan cupped his hands and smiled. Uncle Yuan is so old, a breakthrough is expected. But you are breaking through so early, your future is boundless. It should be Uncle Yuan congratulating you instead. Upon hearing Xiao Yuan's words, Xiao Kangyu and Xiao Kangjin couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency, as both were of similar age to Xiao Yuan. Previously, everyone was at the earth-digging realm. Naturally, it was nothing. Now that the eldest brother and Xiao Yuan have both broken through, they naturally feel left behind. As for the dozen or more juniors below, they were all looking at the 4 above with faces full of envy, eyes filled with longing for the cold resistance level. Dad, 3 days ago, the Martial Arts Academy sent a notice suspending our earth-digging realm quotas. Do you know what's going on? Xiao Hen, bolder in nature, directly asked Xiao Qingcheng about the recent reduction of earth-digging realm quotas by the Martial Arts Academy, and the other Xiao family youths also raised their heads curiously, evidently very concerned about the issue. Xiao Qingcheng frowned, probably thinking his son was prying unnecessarily, instinctively wanting to reprimand him. Xiao Ning saw her father's intention and spoke first to scold in order to save her brother from getting berated. You brat, asking endless questions. The director's order, should it be explained to you? Xiao Yu, a bit more carefree, directly spoke. I heard it's because of the Beehive affair. The Lord personally ordered it, and recently the Martial Arts Academy's quotas are all allocated to the Earth-digging realm limit, trying to let some people break through to cold resistance level first. Indeed, I heard there are many advanced cold beasts over at Beehive, and the Lord is personally stationed there, needing a lot of cold resistance level personnel to assist. The Dragon Martial Army is heading to Beehive the day after tomorrow, with a very few whose skin membrane is about to complete remodeling left behind, said to be letting them enter Martial Arts Academy to cultivate, breaking through to cold resistance level first, to help over at Beehive. Xiao Kangyu and Xiao Kangjin, coincidentally at Earth-digging realm limit cultivation, both seem to have heard of this matter, and nodded to interject. No wonder, recently often hearing loud laughter from the Martial Arts Academy. Surely there are people breaking through to cold resistance level. Big sister, our great Xia's number of cold resistance levels should be over 100 now, right? Upon hearing Xiao Hen's inquiry, Xiao Yu immediately responded with a smile. Already reached long ago, during Lord of October's meeting in Political Hall, there were almost 90, these past 2 months at least another dozen breakthroughs. I estimate our great Xia now has close to 120 at cold resistance level. Chapter 826, Chapter 323, Approaching Labor, the talented Xiao family assembles urgently. Hiss. Not to mention those second-generation disciples. Even Xiao Kangyu and Xiao Kangjin both couldn't help but take a deep breath when they heard this astonishing number. Otherwise, how could the Dragon Wu team have been promoted to the advanced hunting team so quickly and obtain the qualification to form an army? I heard that just last month, 3 members in their team broke through to the cold resistance level. Hearing Xiao use words, Xiao Kangyu immediately nodded and said, Indeed, besides Commander Yuan Dao, the Dragon Martial Army also has 4 camp-level captains at the cold resistance level. Among them, Zhou Yuan and Hu Quan have newly joined from Longyu, and the other 2 were directly brought over from the Dragon Wu team. The hunting teams and the army are 2 different systems. After the Dragon Martial Army was established, the Dragon Wu team did not disappear. Yuan Dao would certainly leave behind some elites to maintain the strength of the Dragon Wu team. A total of 3 broke through to the cold resistance level. Yuan Dao only took 2 into the Dragon Martial Army, leaving 1 at the cold resistance level. As long as they recruit people slowly, and with Yuan Dao occasionally sending people to support, maintaining the name of an advanced hunting team is not too difficult. Xiao Ning keenly noticed at this moment that his father, Xiao Qingcheng, appeared a bit cold, recalling that when Xiao Yu just mentioned forming the Xiao Mountain Army, his father was very calm. He curiously asked, Father, do you not want to form the Xiao Mountain Army? Xiao Qingcheng shook his head slightly. Everyone, including him, wants to command thousands upon thousands on the battlefield to achieve great exploits. However, he sees issues a bit more clearly than his daughter. In the short term, it shouldn't be thought of right now. At present, there are more than a dozen teams striving to become advanced hunting teams, such as Tiger Leopard, Qilong, Hunting Eagle, Steel Mane, Golden Eagle, Xuanwu, Divine Marshal, Zhenwu, Xingwu. These teams will certainly gain the qualification to form an army before the Xiao Mountain team. Even if I truly intend to create the Xiao Mountain Army, I fear it would be behind these people. By the time those armies are established, it would probably take several years. I am not in a hurry. Xiao Ning froze upon hearing this, but quickly reacted and nodded. Xiao Mountain is an intermediate squad, and among the numerous teams under the hunting department, their strength ranks in the 3rd tier, indeed inferior to those teams his father just mentioned. The key is, there are too many teams waiting to build an army, even if his father struggled hard and led the Xiao Mountain team to advance to a higher level. Chances are it wouldn't be their turn to form an army. The camp has only over 40,000 at the Earth-digging realm. The Earth-digging realm limit is not like cabbage. Wanting to form an army is not that simple. The Dragon Martial Army was able to form quickly because of a large influx from Longyu, which included many people already at the Earth-digging realm limit. I estimate that the 3rd army won't be formed until at least mid-next year. Upon hearing his father's words, Xiao Ning nodded and said, The Lord said after Great Xia has 5 armies, there will be an addition of a military department outside of the 7 departments. My husband mentioned once that the establishment of the military department is estimated to wait until next year. Xiao Yuan couldn't help but chime in at this moment. Besides, the camp doesn't really need so many armies. The armies can only be used for hunting mid- and low-level cold beasts. Hunting high-level cold beasts still relies on small teams at the cold resistance level. I estimate that the Lord will ultimately limit the number of armies, only increasing if the population reaches a certain scale. It probably won't need to be limited. Every addition of an army requires a massive amount of blood essence pills, 100 forged iron armor, 100 forged weapons, beast blood. These resources, which aren't easily manageable even for the current Great Xia. According to Xiao Ning's knowledge, the equipment the Dragon Martial Army soldiers are using now is still the batch of armor captured from Longyu. Constantly establishing new armies would be unsustainable for the camp. Let's not talk about this anymore. With my eldest sister and me here, the formation of the Xiao Mountain Army will eventually happen naturally. It's just a matter of time. I have been seeing additional people coming into Xia City every day as the posts in Longyu clean up scattered camps within the border. When the population is sufficient in the future, there will eventually be a time for my father to form the army. Xiao Yu's words immediately eased the atmosphere considerably. Xiao Qingcheng waved his hand and laughed. I'm not that opportunistic. Life is quite comfortable now. Let's not talk about these things. I recently ordered 2 main strong bows at the artifact refining workshop. They should be ready the day after tomorrow. Once I have them, I can lead the team to the depths of the Redwood Ridge and try hunting high-level cold beasts. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yuan's face brightened, as one of the 2 main divine arm bows was obviously prepared for himself. It's a pity that during the formation of the Dragon Wu army, 10 out of the earth-digging realm limit from our Xiao Mountain team were taken away. Otherwise, the success rate of hunting would be higher. The Xiao Mountain team originally had 32 members at the earth-digging realm limit. With their 2 cold resistance levels, hunting weaker high-level cold beasts would probably not be a problem. But now only 22 remain, which doesn't look good. Xiao Kangjin and Xiao Kangyu were among the 10 drawn away, and upon hearing this, they both nodded regretfully. Dad, those 2 main strong bows of yours might not be ready. 2 days ago Director Q just issued an order. The artifact refining workshop needs to rush a batch of divine arm bows. Heard it's for the beehive issue, totaling 200. So right now all the bow-making materials are used on this. Other custom orders will have to wait. Xiao Qingcheng, upon hearing this, showed a hint of surprise and said, 200 divine arm bows. The situation at the beehive is that severe. The first divine arm bow forged by Mu Dong had a draw force of 6 manes, specifically for Lord Xia Hong. After the incorporation of Longyu, Mu Dong discovered many good materials for bowstrings and made several strong bows with a draw force exceeding 5 manes. Since then, Great Xia has unified strong bows with a draw force over 5 manes to be called divine arm bows. Chapter 827, Chapter 323, Approaching Labor, the talented Xiao family assembles urgently. How many advanced cold beasts are there at the beehive, capable of crafting 200 at one go? And does Great Xia have that many individuals with strength above 5 manes at the cold resistance level? Xiao Yuan and the others came to their senses, and they all looked at Xiao Ning with amazement. Xiao Ning nodded, a grave expression on his face, and said, I heard that the Yanglu realm has gathered hundreds of advanced cold beasts, all orchestrated by that white Dugu. The allocations for the Martial Arts Academy, as well as the Lord stationed there, are because of this. The Dragon Martial Army is heading over the day after tomorrow, and it's expected that all the cold resistance level personnel at the camp will be summoned before the end of the year. There will definitely be a fierce battle then. Upon hearing this, Xiao Qingcheng and the others also showed a somber expression. With hundreds of advanced cold beasts, it's only thanks to the Lord being stationed there that it has any use. If anyone else went there, they would likely be crushed to ashes in minutes. My and Yuer's divine arm bows were taken by my husband for requisition. If they were still with us, I could have given them to father. Xiao Kancheng waved his hands repeatedly, saying, No worries, this batch of divine arm bows made by the camp supply department is for all of us to use, whether early or late in hand. Keep your items for yourselves. What does it look like if you bring them to me? Xiao Kancheng was well aware that his 2 daughters had many good items. To avoid others gossiping, he tried his best to ensure family members did not take things from his daughters. He imposed such expectations on himself regarding family matters, even more so. Xiao Ning, knowing his father's temper, didn't dwell on the issue further. He turned to the other younger generation and asked, I heard our Zio family will soon produce a young genius who will break the earth-digging realm breakthrough record. Introduce him to me. Who is it? Upon hearing this, second Uncle Zio Kangyu became enthusiastic and pointed to a young boy under 10, seated at the end with delicate features smiling. It's my Yanner. This kid still has some promise. He's less than 3 months shy of turning 10. I've sent him a few times to the Martial Arts Academy, and now his basic strength is over 9,600 jin. At this rate, breaking through to the earth-digging realm before turning 10 should not be an issue. Zio Kangyu's wife, Lu Gixiang, was all smiles as she pulled up her son Zio Yan, smiling, Yanner, hurry and pay your respects to your elder sisters. Let them take a good look at you. The almost 10-year-old Zio Yan stood boldly, unfazed by the attention, and stepped to the table's edge, bowing to Zio Ning and Zio Yu. Yanner pays respects to eldest sister and second sister. Good, good, good. He's a good seedling. If he breaks the earth-digging realm record, eldest sister will prepare a big gift for you. To break through to the earth-digging realm before 10 years old, who would have believed it in 5-8 Mountain a year ago? The Zio family has produced such a genius that Zio Ning and Zio Yu's eyes almost couldn't contain their smiles. Not just them, but Zio Kangcheng and many others, including Zio Yan's peers in the Zio family, were visibly smiling, clearly happy from the bottom of their hearts. Aheng is also not bad. He broke through the earth-digging realm during the June martial arts competition, and now his basic strength is over 13,000. Has he joined the Mountain River team? Zio Yu, clearly worried her brother might feel left out, also praised him. Zio Kangcheng nodded and said, I let him stay with Zio Lin in the second team. Usually, they just join hunts for low-level cold beasts. These two kids have been doing well, not causing any trouble for me. The Mountain River team is an intermediate hunting team with 50 members. Zio Kangcheng purposely created 2 teams. The one he personally leads can attempt to hunt advanced cold beasts. The second team, being weaker, is specialized for hunting low-level cold beasts as a way to train reserve troops, so he let his son and nephews join. The family chatted idly for a while longer, and as the night grew deeper, with many campers beginning to head out, Zio Ning timely proposed to take her leave. Father, it's getting late and you'll soon be busy too. I and you will head back now, not to disturb you anymore. It's rare for you to come back. Stay a while longer, talk to your mother. Mother, we're all in the inner city so close by. If you want us, just come over to our place. Why make it so distant? Lin Lan, reluctant to let her daughters go, tried to persuade them to stay longer. But hearing Zio Ning's words, she couldn't say much more, just nodded. Suddenly thinking of something, she pointed to 2 maids beside her and said, Ninger is about to give birth, and Yuer is also pregnant. I'll have Zioyu and Xiaping go over to help. I don't really need maids here. Zio Ning immediately wanted to refuse upon hearing this, but before she could speak, her mother pushed the 2 maids over. Zio Kangcheng nodded as well, saying earnestly, I know you have many maids at home, and your mother and I don't really need any. With 2 more people, there'll be more help. Let them go over to take care of you too. Seeing their father also agreed, Zio Ning and Zio Yu couldn't refuse further. To put their parents' minds at ease, they took the 2 maids with them. Everyone accompanied Zio Ning and Zio Yu to the doorway, before turning back into the house. Dragon Martial Army, Emergency Assembly. Dragon Martial Army, Emergency Assembly. Dragon Martial Army, Emergency Assembly. Zio Kangcheng was about to pull Zio Yuan and his 2 brothers back to the main hall for more conversation when a series of high-pitched shouts came from the street. The Dragon Martial Army has assembled. They must be setting off early, right? Elder brother, Brother Yuan, we're leaving first. Emergency assembly order, if we're not at the camp in 20 breaths, we'll get 20 lashes. We're off now. Zio Kangyu and Zio Kangjin immediately bid farewell to Zio Kangcheng and Zio Yuan, running toward the outer city camp without looking back. Zio Kangcheng knew the military order was as unyielding as a mountain and didn't stop his 2 brothers, only watching them leave with a sigh. If not at the camp in 20 breaths, 20 lashes. Yuan Sijeng runs the army too strictly. Beside him, Zio Yuan chuckled. The new army was just formed, so it's reasonable to be stringent. Yuan Sijeng always wants to compete with the minister. The Dragon Martial Army was formed half a year later than the Cloud Dragon Army, so he's surely eager to quickly increase their combat strength. Otherwise, the gap with the Cloud Dragon Army will widen. Upon hearing this, Zio Kangcheng smiled and a glimmer of desire rose in his eyes. He wondered when his Zio mountain army would be established. Chapter 828, Chapter 324, Early Drills Surge in Cold Resistance Level Members. After Xia Chuan's 2-month-long transformation, the outer city has been divided into 4 distinct districts: southeast, southwest, northeast, and northwest. The outer city of Great Xia is enclosed by 3 walls and the Double Dragon Mountain Wall, stretching 4 kilometers from north to south and 3 kilometers from east to west, making a total of 12 square kilometers. Xia Chuan designed the 4 districts to be extremely compact, pushing them as close to the edge of the walls as possible, leaving a large central area, clearly intended for future population growth. At the very center of Xia City, there sits a square wooden canopy with sides approximately 500 meters in length. The wooden canopy has 5 levels, each of the same size, apart from the top floor, which has several windows for ventilation. The rest are almost entirely enclosed. Hardly any light gets through inside, making it impossible to see anything within the wooden house from the outside. However, a gigantic wooden plaque hangs on the top floor of the canopy. On the plaque, the word military camp is written in golden powder. Though the military camp is about 200 or 300 meters away from the outer city streets, people's curiosity is undeterred. Especially some older children often gather around, gazing at the camp, faces full of envy and aspirations. Did the Dragon Martial Army just call an assembly? Yes, didn't you see the light from the 2nd floor? 2nd floor, what does that mean? The camp is designed with 5 levels. Apparently, it's the idea of the Lord. He said that our camp's short-term goal is to build 5 armies, and these 5 levels are specifically for those armies. Currently, only 2 levels are activated. The first level is the Cloud Dragon armies, and the second is the Dragon Martial Army, S. Exactly, the construction specs of this camp are no joke. I heard the ground stakes went down over 20 meters. The floor spacers and joints are made of pure iron. Even if tens of thousands squeezed in, it wouldn't collapse. That's for sure. After all, it's a key military ground, and the soldiers of the 2 armies have cultivation at the earth-digging realm limit as the minimum. If it's not sturdy, they might trample it flat with a few steps. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Is the Dragon Martial Army training? How about we sneak over and take a look? Are you crazy? The camp is now forbidden ground, strictly off-limits to anyone except soldiers. Violation means punishment, either by flogging or hard labor. If you want to die, go ahead, but I'm not joining in your madness. I'm just joking. How could I forget the rules set by the minister last month? Even if I were to enter, I would do it properly with the identity of an army soldier. Stop dreaming. Once you break through the earth-digging realm limit, we won't just have 5 armies. Great Xia might have more than a dozen armies by then. You won't get a chance. Don't underestimate me, just wait and see. All right, I'll be waiting to see. Military camp, 2nd floor plaza. The square plaza, more than 200 meters wide, can easily accommodate thousands, let alone tens of thousands. 1,000 Dragon Martial Army soldiers now stand densely packed at its center, eyes fixed straight ahead. The Dragon Martial Army soldiers wear 100 forged iron armor, not in light gold but pure black, indicating it's from Long Mountain. Not only their armor, but their weaponry is different from the Cloud Dragon armies as well. The front row of 100 soldiers carries different weapons, evidently an elite scout camp similar to the Cloud Dragon army. The 900-man formations behind have 3 wielding horizontal blades, and the remaining 6 all holding spears over 10 feet long. At the forefront, Yuan Dao, cloaked in almost pure golden war armor, walks in slowly. He glances over the formations and loudly asks, "Is everyone here?" At the very front line, Colonel Zhou Yuan of the scout camp steps forward and bows. Reporting to the commander, all 10 camps totaling 1,000 men are present. Yuan Dao nods, continues to walk to the front of the army, looking at the 10 camp colonels including Zhou Yuan. An elite spark flashes in his eyes. My Dragon Martial Army was established late, but the starting point is much higher than the minister's Cloud Dragon Army. Initially we have Zhou Yuan, Hu Quan, Yuan Yang, Zhu Yang, 4 at the cold resistance level. If this advantage is properly utilized, surpassing the Cloud Dragon Army in combat strength is not impossible. Just as many in Xia City had speculated, Yuan Dao indeed has always harbored the desire to compete with Xia Chuan. especially after losing by a narrow margin to him in June's martial arts competition. The strength of Xia Hong is on a completely different level, and Yuan Dao admits to having neither the mindset nor the courage to compete with him, not even much desire to catch up. But Xia Chuan is different. He's similar in age to Yuan Dao, with comparable cultivation, similar battle body talent, and Yuan Dao had always been confident that in terms of combat talent, Xia Chuan was not up to par with him. However, in June's martial arts competition, he was genuinely defeated by Xia Chuan. For Yuan Dao, that defeat was not merely losing the qualification to establish an army, so he harbors a persistent resentment. The next martial arts competition will be next year, so he must surpass Xia Chuan in other ways before then. The establishment of the Dragon Martial Army is just the opportunity. 10 days ago, upon returning to Xia City, he immediately sought out Zhou Yuan and Hu Quan, putting in effort and eloquence, finally persuading them to join the Dragon Martial Army. Including Yuan Yang and Zhu Yang, whom he brought from the Dragon Wu team, the fledgling Dragon Martial Army already boasts 4 at the cold resistance level, and Zhou Yuan and Hu Quan are reputedly stronger than 9 main. Before early December, he spent all his time in the Beehive, so he is well aware of the Cloud Dragon Army's condition. As of now, the Cloud Dragon Army, including Liu Yuan, only has 5 at the cold resistance level. Chapter 829, Chapter 324, Early Drills Surge in Cold Resistance Level Members. In terms of cold resistance level numbers alone, there is no longer any gap between the two armies. The next thing to remedy is combat strength. Yuan Dao took a deep breath, looked around at the soldiers in front, and spoke loudly. Originally, I said I would take you out the day after tomorrow. After arriving at the Beehive, we planned to use the cold beasts within Yanglu Realm for training. However, I, as the commander, feel that since it is training, why wait until reaching Yanglu Realm? There are a bunch of cold beasts right here in Redwood Ridge. We can't waste tonight and tomorrow night, so I gathered you all here on short notice. Upon hearing this, the Dragon Martial Army soldiers were invigorated. They had only been formed in these past few days and had not yet gone into battle. The number of people departing the night after tomorrow is only 950. You should all understand why. Because of the deceitful monster matter in Yanglu Realm, the Lord recently cleared out the Martial Arts Academy spots to specifically aid Earth-digging realm limit breakthroughs. The Cloud Dragon Army got 100 spots, and our just-formed Dragon Martial Army only got 50. The Martial Arts Academy can accommodate 200 people at once for cultivation. Soldiers from the Cloud Dragon Army and Dragon Martial Army, all at the Earth-digging realm limit cultivation, naturally took most slots. The remaining 50 were allocated to other non-military members at the camp, who were also at the Earth-digging realm limit. Upon hearing about the academy slots, the crowd's expressions immediately showed interest. Half of the Dragon Martial Army soldiers were newcomers from Longyu. They had been in Xia City for just over 2 months. Most had only heard of the academy's accelerated cultivation without having experienced it firsthand. Even so, judging by the information leaked by others in the camp, the Academy's accelerated cultivation claim was undoubtedly real, so naturally, everyone's mind was on the slots, wanting to train inside. I've initially decided on the 50 slots for the Dragon Martial Army. After dismissal, there will be a list. You can directly head to the Martial Arts Academy for cultivation. However, there will be breakthroughs later. Once someone breaks through, a slot will be freed up at the Academy. The 50 slots allocated to the Dragon Martial Army will remain unchanged, so I will select new entrants to fill any vacant breakthrough slots. Now let me tell you the criteria for this selection. As Yuan Dao finished speaking, everyone immediately became excited. Indeed, the first batch of 50 entering will have some breakthroughs eventually. Once someone breaks through, a slot opens up right. The 50 slots belonging to the Dragon Martial Army won't change, meaning as long as there are breakthroughs, there's an opportunity for others to enter and continue training at the Academy. Everyone's expressions turned eager, and they all perked up, listening attentively to the selection standards Yuan Dao was about to announce. Yuan Dao smiled and continued. Actually, there's not much difference in your cultivation levels. This time, all those who enter the Academy have the qualification to exchange for high-level beast blood. Your contribution values should be sufficient, so as long as you get in, breaking through to the cold resistance level is practically guaranteed. At this point he paused slightly, then continued in a deeper voice. Since everyone can break through, I, as the commander, can't arbitrarily allocate slots. My selection standards are, on these 2 nights, tonight and tomorrow, those who stand out most in training, meaning those who kill the most cold beasts, will qualify for continued access to the academy. The crowd showed a slight understanding. When Yuan Dao mentioned advancing to Redwood Ridge for training earlier, they had some suspicions, so they weren't surprised to hear that slots would be earned by beast kill counts. I will have the 10 camp captains keep records on the battlefield. Your individual performances will determine slot allocation later, so if you lose, don't harbor resentment. Also, there's something else to tell you. Yuan Dao paused, scanned the crowd, and continued. As far as I know, the situation in Yanglu Realm this time is not simple. Around Yangyuan Peak alone, there are hundreds of advanced cold beasts, let alone a powerful white Dugu behind them. Assigning the Cloud Dragon Army alongside us, the Dragon Martial Army over there, including freeing academy spots for earth-digging realm limit breakthroughs, is to address the major trouble on Yangyuan Peak. An intense battle is inevitable by the year's end. Securing a spot to break through to the cold resistance level in the academy at this time could very well save your life. I'm giving you a heads up. How you perform in training tonight and tomorrow is up to you. Do you all understand? At the final question, Yuan Dao intentionally emphasized his tone. The crowd was momentarily stunned, then responded loudly in unison. Understand. Did you not eat? Louder. Yuan Dao's roar startled everyone, causing them to stiffen. Everyone took a deeper breath, then raised their heads to give their response anew. Sir, understood. The morale was notably higher this time. The entire wooden shelter of the camp vibrated slightly. All right, Zhou Yuan, lead the reconnaissance camp out first and bring the small fire torches. The remaining 9 camps will follow, taking the main west road out of Xia City, heading directly and swiftly into Redwood Ridge. Move out. Upon Yuan Dao's order, Zhou Yuan promptly led the reconnaissance camp downstairs, heading out of the western exit of the camp. The other 9 camp's soldiers swiftly followed behind. The Cloud Dragon Army began training with just a few cold beasts. The Dragon Martial Army already has 5 at the cold resistance level, so there's no reason for such slow progress. We will start directly with a small-scale beast tide numbering in the tens to quickly boost combat strength. This way, at Yanglu Realm, we won't drag the Cloud Dragon Army down. Yuan Dao took a slight breath and followed the forces from behind. The Cloud Dragon Army's training method indeed proved quick and effective, which is why he had the reconnaissance camp bring the small fire torches along. The urgency for the Dragon Martial Army to enhance combat capabilities wasn't solely to compete with Xia Chuan, though that did play a part, albeit a minor one. He wasn't reckless enough to risk the lives of Dragon Martial Army soldiers merely for rivalry with Xia Chuan. The primary goal was stated just moments ago. Before December 5th, he stayed at Yanglu Realm with Xia Hong, clearing cold beast groups around Yangyuan Peak and becoming well acquainted with the area, affirming that the situation in Yanglu Realm was indeed complicated, and the anticipated end-of-year battle was highly likely. If the Dragon Martial Army doesn't swiftly enhance combat strength now, dragging the Cloud Dragon Army's feet would be the least of concerns. Losing lives is the real issue. The Dragon Martial Army was just established, and he was keen to minimize casualties. Dying on the battlefield is better than suffering minor injuries now. Tonight, we start directly with a beast tide of 10s. Determined, Yuan Dao led the forces out the city gate, charging straight westward along the main road. Xia City's main west road connected directly to an iron mine deep within Redwood Ridge, primarily used by miners. Yuan Dao used this path with the Dragon Martial Army expressly to save time, aiming to enter the depths of Redwood Ridge quickly. The news of Dragon Martial Army's early training quickly spread throughout Xia City. Xia Chuan, upon hearing, wasn't opposed. Early training wasn't bad, given that the Dragon Martial Army had formed late. Gaining combat readiness early would reduce casualties in Yanglu Realm. His focus remained on the Martial Arts Academy's status, dispatching people to the Beehive to notify Cloud Dragon Army soldiers to return whenever breakthroughs occurred, ensuring full oversight of Earth-digging realm limit progression. Breaking through from Earth-digging realm limit to cold resistance level isn't overly difficult, especially now that camp supplies, such as beast blood and blood essence pills, were abundant. The Academy also aided efficiently in skin membrane reshaping. The combination minimized obstacles. The variation was only in the speed of skin membrane reshaping. The slot selection this time was stringent. Those chosen for the academy already had reshaping progress above 70%, so they could break through after 5 to 10 days inside. On December 10th, 2 people broke through. On December 11th, 4 people broke through. On December 12th, 3 people broke through. Until December 29th at dawn. 5 more broke through last night, Minister. In the main building's quiet room, Xia Chuan opened his eyes upon hearing Qiu Peng's report and asked, "Have you tallied the total yet?" Qiu Peng, having long been prepared, responded effortlessly. "Since December 6th up to today, a total of 102 have broken through. I just disbanded everyone from the academy, leaving only 15 likely to break through tonight." 102 plus the previous 106, that's enough. Notify all cold resistance level individuals to assemble at the beehive immediately. For this last batch tonight, send people to observe. Anyone who breaks through should be sent to the beehive. I'll inform the Lord now. I'll handle it at once. Finishing his words, Xia Chuan exited the quiet room, left the main building, and headed toward the city gate. Qiu Peng dispatched a slew of subordinates to notify all cold resistance level individuals across Xia City.